like 15 minutes apart.
Okay, share. Copy link. I'm in the wrong Discord server. That doesn't help.
Incredible, Ross. Incredible.
There we go.
What a start. Just gonna double check if I can hear my voice.
Yeah, your voice is fine.
Alright.
Right, who are we waiting for now? Who is missing?
It was Hollywood.
We've got Prime. Are we missing an Aero driver? I think. Ben. Yeah, Big Beaver.
Yeah, Beaver is the one we're missing. We got so many A+ drivers, by the way.
Yeah. Everyone A+ and A.
Ahmed.
Yeah. Yeah, I still don't understand how BX isn't an A+ driver. This is.
So they do it. I'm guessing.
I know he doesn't. I know he doesn't do it, but I'd just be like, I have to get up to A+. Like he could do it quite easily, I'd reckon. I try to go up to A sometimes, and then I just get punted off and just leave in a rage and never try again.
I tried it for 5 races and then got hit 5 times. It was like, yeah, not even gonna bother.
Yeah.
Not even gonna bother with that. Yeah, I absolutely could not do daily races as much as some of these guys do daily races. Could not. I think I'd go insane.
Oh, here we go. Number 16. I was just about to tag him as well. Awesome.
Look at that. Everyone on time, actually early. And we start half an hour early as well. So
I know.
Beautiful. 58 laps of Monza. What could go wrong? There's going to be so many crashes and so many penalties.
Right, should we start then? Should we do a little rundown of the standings?
Yeah. Might as well welcome everyone to the stream first.
Yes, hello. We got 9 people watching. I thought we were still on 1. It was saying 1 on my YouTube. So I was like, right, okay, no one's even here. Doesn't matter what we say.
Great start. We're great streamers.
Okay, let's do a quick recap then. Okay, last week we dropped 3 of our 8 teams for this season because we're only doing the top 5 teams for the last 2 rounds with double points and longer races, like as is tradition now. So we said goodbye to Pegasus, Project Racing United, and V2. So the only teams racing today, we'll go in reverse order. We've got Team Cav R on 129 and Team Aero GT on 166. They're realistically battling for P4 at the end of the season. Then we got Falcon on 300, Arix on 351, and Project Platypus on 402. The maximum points a team can score tonight is 172, I think, if my memory is correct. So any one of those 3 teams could be leaving tonight as the championship leaders, essentially, if they have the perfect race and problems happen to the others.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge ask for that to happen in terms of, especially for Falcon.
For Falcon, it's realistic for Arix. They did it last season in round 7.
Yeah, we have had this before. We've been in this position, and this is why we do double points for multiple races now instead of the one we did first season. It just creates a bit more drama and an unpredictable twist, maybe, that we can have going into Bathurst next week. Or just being devil advocate, it could work entirely on the flip side, and we have a new champion today. One of the two.
Yeah, technically, yeah, they could win it. It would be very, very difficult to mathematically win it, though. That would have to be some insane performances. But yeah, do you want to run down who we've got racing tonight? I'll tell these guys we're going to be starting soon.
Yeah, let's go with the team that leads the championship first here then. So we've got Project Platypus, 3 drivers here tonight. Zico is going to be the first one. We saw him. He won last week in Alsace. If you were watching Lobby A, you see that him and his teammate, VX, who is also driving today, had a very, very ballsy decision to make at the end of that Alsace race, and it paid off tenfold. And their 3rd driver today is that fool Tobias, and we've seen Tobias before. We saw him at Tokyo. He started really well and fell off very quickly, so we'll see if they're going to be similar to that tonight. But he's got a lot of pace, that's a certain. Second, the 3 drivers are for Arix. We've got Javi, who well, we all know in this league by now, massive amount of pace. But he's in the Aston this time, so we'll see how that fares. Then we've got Slim, who I actually had to compliment the last time he raced. And we've also got Aero, who we know from FGR from Season 2, has a ton of pace to him, yet to win an ALR race, though, and this time I'm not in the lobby, so maybe something might turn to be different. Third, we've got Falcon, and Falcon are taking their three drivers are Alessandro, who we saw last week have an outstanding quali lap, put himself on pole, didn't really have the race strategy to capitalize on it. They also have Ahmed, who we've seen as a feature realistically in this league. He got a lot of pace, but I don't know if he's got the pace of the top guys in this lobby. And they've got a new guy in the hole, to us anyway, in ALR, and that is Syndra, Mr. SBS over here. Coming along, I believe that's from our lab, but
another R Lab driver driving for Falcon. R Lab don't drive in ALR. Don't actually know anything about them, but they seem to have some sort of relationship with Falcon. And Dino, who's not racing tonight, and Syndra, who is apparently very quick. So we'll have to wait to see what he could do in this qualifying session.
Yeah, completely new to us, so we'll figure out where his pace is as a whole. Fourth is Aero GT, and they are bringing Prime Cole, Owen, and that's the second person who's asked in 2 weeks about asking about the wind. It is...
Yes, the wind is on because there is no equal lobby settings needed for the final 2 rounds.
There's no second lobby here, so everyone is under the same conditions, so it is as per normal.
And the third driver is Big Beaver as well.
Yeah, Big Beaver. That was the name I was forgetting. Got caught up with Owen asking about the win. And then the final team, who were actually 6 leading into our stars last week. All 3 of them qualified for Lobby A, which was outstanding.
Yes.
And the surprise package of the entire season, Kavar, they're bringing their famed 3, Fluffy Butt, Hollywood, and Latari in with them today. Latari realistically needs to pick up a few more points than he has been doing recently, but the other 2 can spring a surprise if the right conditions are brought about.
Yeah, so everyone started the flying laps now. BX Royal for Project Platypus is the front driver of everyone. He managed to beat everyone out of the pits. And then Javi right behind him. We were looking at some of the practice times before this qualifying started, and Javi looked comfortably the quickest driver in his Aston Martin, which apparently, if you are able to tune it, because it's got a very poor downforce setting on custom bop. Oh, BX making a mistake there. Will be, well, probably cost him 3 or 4 tenths. But yeah, apparently that makes the Aston Martin a rocket ship, so let's see what can happen on this first round of qualifying laps.
Yeah, he'll be looking for... Javier the Hole will be looking for a potentially better season than that qualifying lap. You'll see it in the back of the picture there, where he almost lost his car out the second Lesmo, which is never a good sign. Yeah, he'll be looking for a better season than the one he's had, quite frankly, because there's been a number of drivers that didn't look too good either. The number of races this season where he hasn't had the pace. Last week was one of them, for example, or he messed up like he did in Dragon Trail when he could have won that race in Dragon Trail week, I think it was 2 or 3, but that ended up going to BX and Zico, and BX almost threw that one away as well. So
another little wobble out of Parabolica there as well for BX, just as you said, he threw that one away. But he's rounded it, and he's still facing the right way. This first lap is going to be a 46.9. What can Javi respond with? A 46.1, half a second quicker.
Zico, also good.
Aura, not a great lap for Aura.
I think he may have just got caught up. Ahmed's gone into the pits. We've got a penalty for Slim.
Prime Call finds his way up to 5th. That's a pretty decent opening lap for Prime Call, it's got to be said.
Latari 47.5 beats Prime Call. Alessandro 47.0. Owen needs to get himself an actual lap.
Here we go, Syndra on his debut. Up to P3, great lap for him. Still 6 tenths of a second away, but it's Arix P1, Project Platypus P2, and Falcon in 3rd place at the moment.
So the race could get very interesting if we started like this, because then it's also Project Platypus. Oh, there's a 2-second time penalty.
Yeah.
Cut the corner. That's not good news for Harvey. I guess he'll go into the pits at the end of this lap then.
Yeah, definitely.
Realistically.
I'm wondering who's ahead of BX on the mini-map. Is BX let someone through, or is that someone on an out lap, potentially?
We're about to find out.
It's Big Beaver in
Big
P15,
Beaver,
so he's not even set his lap yet.
It'll be at the back then, yeah. He's on his out lap now, so he'd only just started. He looked like he kind of may have arrived a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to. It's
the only Huracan. Yeah, it's the only Huracan who's racing tonight. It's not meant to be very good at Monza, or at least it wasn't this week in Monday League, was it? Drivers in the Lambo seem to struggle more than other tracks this season. So I think if you could get in the top 10, that'd be quite a good achievement for Big Beaver here.
Yeah, yeah, the Lambo isn't really great around this track, but that's because top speed in a car like the Lambo is not its strong point. 46.2 for BX, so it's 1/10 back on Javi. The next one over the line, Aero 46.5. Up to third he goes. You got Zico and looks like Zico and Syndra might be heading to one. Zico's into the pits. 46.9 for Fluffy, but who looks to be, as I said, the one that might spring a surprise here. He's up in a sixth when everyone has set a pretty decent lap, minus 2 or 3. Latari 47.0, Alessandro 46.8. So I think Alessandro's jumped to 6 just ahead of Fluffy.
Alessandro's popped up
46.4 for Syndra. 46.4 for Syndra up to third. Just about beating Aura, and it's about 3.5 tenths separate the top 4 right now.
Yeah, it's very, very close in, I'd say, the entire top 10 going down. All top 9 separated by a second. Then you got Prime Call with half a second, and then a bunch of drivers who haven't set good laps yet. And that includes Tobias, it includes Slim, and it includes Ahmed, who have not set hot laps yet that have been representative. Looks like Ahmed set a 55.9, which, yeah, that must have been a huge problem.
Came out.
Yeah, he's come out of the pits.
Yeah, I'd say 55.9 was into the pits, 209 out of the pits, so this will be his first proper lap that he gets the entire day. So we will be able to see where Slim and Ahmed in particular are going to place themselves. So they need to become, as well, the so-called third drivers for their team. They need to come up with a big night.
Yes. It's the consistency in these last 2 races that really pay. If you get 3 drivers in the top 5, that is an insane amount of points.
Yeah, and all it takes is one bad day at the office, and that could be the end of your season. Especially if you're in Falcon's position, a bad day at the office right now would genuinely speak the end of their season. 47.9 for Beaver, he's got to be quicker than that.
Yeah, he does. Javi coming up to a little bit of traffic at the end of his lap. Let's see if he can improve. He's only got a lead of 0.124 at the moment.
Just over a 10th, you're right. But he is catching up to Alessandro and Latari. It looks like those two are just kind of using each other towards the end of their lap. Bearing in mind this is an out lap for Javi. So he'll be about to go onto his flying lap now. Aura, I think, has just come out of the pits for good measure. Alessandro coming out 46.3 here for Syndra up to
P3 now. Hollywood improves as well. He's up into 8th now.
Kavar 7-8 is not a bad run.
7-8 and 9. All 3.
I was saying that this before, that it wouldn't surprise me if Aero GT and Kavar, the 6 drivers that make up the bottom 6 in this lobby, they don't really seem to agree with that sentiment right now.
Absolutely not. Let's see who's in the bottom 6 actually. Slim with a half-second penalty won't be improving on this lap. Tobias has just started his hot lap. Owen is still at turn 1. And then we got Big Beaver, who's set a 47.9, 1.8 seconds off. We got no Aero drivers in the top 10 at the moment.
Slower again.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Yeah, you got so as a whole, Slim's only going to get 1 chance of this, by the way, because we're 8 minutes 30 into the lap time now. I think he got over before 8:20 on the clock, so he should get potentially 1 more after this. Bear in mind he's got the penalty this lap, so this lap
he has to
be
serve
representative at all.
Yep.
So he's got 1 more shot at this, otherwise he's starting right at the back, and Alex will not want that. Well, I say that like it's not Monza turn 1, but that's beside the point. Here comes Beaver to the line, it's not going to be that much quicker.
It is an improvement, but Prime Call still out qualifying these tier 1 boys in his own team, Big Beaver and Owen.
Let's go to the line. Let's go to the front here. So
let's find out who's
front
at
of the pack here, who's coming to the line.
Well, we got BX Royal just behind somebody, so let's stick with
Ahmed's
BX.
second, by the way.
Ahmed's popped up out of nowhere into second with a lap of his life.
Someone's gone dangerously wide there in the parabolic. I'm not entirely sure what their plan is. I think it was Latari. 46.3 for Prime Cole. There's an improvement there.
Yep, no improvement for BX. What about Aura? He's tucked up behind Javi playing the Slipstream game. It's still not an improvement.
Okay, they use that
Javi's giving Aura the help, I think.
46
I want to
nice
stick
Hollywood
with this.
again.
See what...
Javi, Aura was just on an outlap, so it's either he's helping Aura here, or he's not. 46-0 for Ahmed!
Wow.
Puts himself on pole position! I can't tell whether it's Javi giving help or Aura giving help, but one of them is going to cost the other. 45-6! 45-6!
Tobias out of absolutely nowhere. Just goes a huge chunk of time. We're on our final laps now. We've just gone past the 10-minute mark. We've got Javi and Aura trying to push each other up and down these straights, and it seems to be working at the moment. Javi is very slightly up. He might have enough to get Ahmed. He needs to find a bit of time in these middle sectors as he's going through the first les mode now to get to anywhere near the level of Tobias, to be honest. I think that's a Gen X1 too, isn't it?
It is, yes. Just a couple, just 4 attempts that he needs to establish here in the second sector in Aston Martin. I don't really think there's going to be much chance of that happening. We're about to find out where he sits at the end of the second sector.
They're down.
Is Javi down. I don't know about Aura.
Aura's going to be up. Aura could get up onto the second row with this strategy. So even if it's not working for...
Oh, no, he won't!
No, he won't.
No, he won't! That's a commentator's curse if you've ever seen one there. Far too wide at the end of Ascari. And that'll be the end of a chance at pole here, I think, for Arik. So they're going to be floundering just a little bit. Here comes Sindri around the Parabolica. Can he get himself an improvement to the line? 43, 44, 45, 46,
Oh, he does improve, but it's not enough. Javi goes up into second. He does manage to get past Ahmed. Aura does not improve. He stays 6th. And you know what? I think it was the dirty air that did it to him on the exit of Ascari.
Zico, 46-3. And he moves up into 6th there. We've got a decent amount of drivers really close to each other there. Yeah, Aura did get hindered by Javi. 46-6 for Owen.
Now. Tobias might actually beat his time. He's on another lap.
There's 2 more drivers that get a lap here, I think. Here comes Tobias to the line. No, he's only in a 55.
No, he's massively down. 9 seconds down. Doesn't matter. He got the 1 lap that he needed. Hollywood is next.
Hollywood. Let's see if Hollywood can improve on the 11th, where he currently is. He's 0.08 of a second behind his teammate, who is in 10th right now. Alessandro, the car in front of that. As we go to the line, Latari's in the pit, so he's out of qualifying as well. But he's on an outlap, Hollywood, so that's the end of his qualifying, actually. It took me a while to see that, and yeah, that will be it.
Yeah.
That will be it.
That's the last one. So, let's go through. We got Slim Man, 5.7 seconds off of the pace. In the Gen X, which is the same car as as P1 and P2, but yeah, he couldn't get a clean lap. Prime Call shuffled down to 14th in the end. Just ahead of him is his teammate Big Beaver. Then we got Lotari and Hollywood and Fluffy Butt, the Cavar boys, in 10th, 11th, and 12th. Very, very similar lap times.
Yeah, Alessandro just ahead of that, Owen in 8th. But I would like to point out that 1, 2, 3 on this grid is 1, 2, 3 in the championship in order.
Yep. Project Platypus ahead of Arix, ahead of Falcon, but then you got another Project Platypus and another Falcon, and then the third Project Platypus driver in the top 6. So very, very good qualifying for our championship leaders. If they can convert these to results, then they'll be happy. Yeah.
If I was Falcon and if I was Arix, I'd be working together right now, because you have a common enemy, and that enemy is not each other.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, also Millis went in chat, good evening here to root for undercover FGR Aura, and then it immediately crashed.
Yeah, unfortunate. Good time to announce, FGR coming back next season. We also have 2 new teams who've signed up for next season, ERA and Spider GT. So we're up to 10 for next season. Applications are still open, actually, so we could end up having to have a little pre-season qualification race to get down to 10, but we'll see what happens, because we only got 1 more week until those close, but we're very excited for next season already. Yep,
we got ourselves to 10 at the very least. It'll be very much on the level of season 2, if not potentially better, because we had a couple of teams that went toe-to-toe that year. We had FGR had the options with things like Super GT that season. Never really got all that much help, but then you had Halix and Arix. Arix ended up winning that season, I'm pretty sure. And then Obviously, we've got 4 other teams that are absolutely electric right now. Project Platypus are flying, absolutely flying. I don't think there's much you can do to damage that confidence. As you can see, 3 in the top 6 today. You've got a bunch of other teams. We've got about 5-ish really, really solid teams that might be able to win a championship next season, honestly.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Anyway, let's get going because we have everyone gearing up and ready to go. Things to watch out for. We might have multiple stops, potentially 3-stop races for these guys. The tyres will last and last and last, so they can stretch out the fuel, but this is a long race and it is a very tough race on fuel with so much of the lap on full throttle. So the tyre selection at the beginning will be interesting, and also see how Slim gets through the pack in his Gen X, because he's going to have straight line advantage on everyone up to Aura potentially.
Yeah, it's simply not a good place for Slim to be. It might be in terms of the fact that we're going into Monza Turn 1. If anything, if you're going to be at the back of a particular Turn 1, this might be the one you want to be at the back for.
Yeah.
But it's not a good place to be when you know that you're fighting for a championship and it's double points, so every mistake you make is magnified like tenfold.
Absolutely. Right, let's get going. Round 7 of our 3rd season of eSports.
Yep, 58 laps of Monza. This and then one more to go afterwards. Let's see how we're going to get through this race. And can't rain, even
mediums.
though it's a very, very cloudy,
Looks like
cloudy scenario.
Everyone apart from Big Beaver on the mediums there.
Okay. That's an interesting start. I guess because the tyres won't last too long, you kind of want to save the soft for a longer period of time. But here we go. 4, 5 red lights. It's lights out, away we go! Down towards turn 1, Tobias gets off the line, the best out of the 2 of them. Javi slips in behind him, Ahmed after that. As we go down towards turn 1, Javi's trying to bring himself alongside. It's covered off well by Tobias, and we go side by side into turn 1. They're still going. Javi just on the inside, not really going to get a good exit. And Ahmed might be lining that one up. BX as well on the outside, currently in 4th, trying to line up Ahmed as they go through. Well, I'm not entirely sure why Tobias is saying he's sorry. As we go through turn 3, as Javi is going to the inside, and Tobias, well, by typing in the chat, it may have cost him.
Yeah, he's still fighting him into the braking zone. He's got the inside line for the corner. Tobias gets slightly ahead. Ahmed still in 3rd as everyone is going through the chicane now. There's a little bit of drama a bit further back. Looks like Hollywood and Lutari struggling towards the rear there. Let's take advantage of our new little feature and find out what's happened to Hollywood. Looks like he was already shuffled down after the first corner, unfortunately for him. So some incidents in the first corner of lap 1. Meanwhile, at the front, Tobias has stretched out a gap to 0.6 per second, but is very, very close between the top 3.
I'd say when it comes to everything calming down, we may have to go back to a beginning of race replay, but we'll just testing out the new replays and everything. We got something new. Here comes Alessandro and BX.
Oh, BX is getting shuffled down here.
BX is all the way down in 10th. He was 4th.
Fluffy
So there's Fluffy Butt in the wall.
Oh no, Fluffy Butt is in the wall. BX has been lost a couple more places. He's behind Prime Call and Big Beaver now. Absolute disaster for Project Platypus in the BX household. But Cav Hollywood actually made his way back up to 13th there. But Fluffy Butt and Latari struggling at the back. So that's lap 1. Quite a lot happened.
Not entirely sure why we're getting a refuel warning for cars. Not how that's meant to work.
No.
But yeah,
definitely.
Look. Ahmed's got a penalty there in 3rd. We're gonna have to, when this everything calms down, we're gonna have to try and figure out what happened to BX and what happened to the Cab R boys, because all 3 of them are at the back now. Lakai went off at the end of Ascari as well for good measure. It's looking here between, I think that's Slim. In the blue. BX
nearly lost it again. Right, you see a little replay of that. Here comes Fluffy.
Just a bit of slide. BX is already ahead.
Oh, he's already gone.
He's already gone, yeah. But yeah, it's just BX having a bad day at the office. And this is what we were talking about at the start. This is what we were talking about at the start, where a bad day at the office could be huge, and BX has got off to arguably the worst possible start.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Zico's dropped down from 4th to 6th in the last couple of corners. Aura now up into 4th and on a charge. He's going to get ahead of Ahmed when Ahmed serves that penalty. That means it's Team Arix in 2nd and 3rd place. The pressure is going to be on Tobias right now to keep up this consistency and bring it home, which I think, I didn't commentate, but I think he couldn't do it in Tokyo.
He could not. He did not. He started very well, but then it was BX and Mate that continued the show for Project Platypus that night on a very one-sided display. But yeah, it's also on that note, talking about Tokyo, BX isn't going to get a chance to fumble the race this time round. He's all the way down in 12th already.
Yeah. Looks like Zico is trying to catch up to Syndra here, and also Ahmed has just slotted in right above them after he served his 1 second penalty. So Aura with some clear air to try and catch Javi, and if he does, they'll be working together to try and do something against Tobias.
I was about to say, there's a good point of view here where if Aura can get to Javi, they could work together, they get themselves close enough, they have to work together to get themselves past Tobias and slow down Project Platypus, because that's all it is today, right? It's not necessarily, oh, we have to take a chunk out of them, or we have to take this, that, the other.
It's now or never.
Slowing them down. You've got to get them. You've got to get them out of that rhythm, because they have been in a very good rhythm, as pointed out by our source, for a long time. So you've got to disrupt it. You've got to get yourselves in the position where you can cause as much havoc as you can physically muster up. And at that point,
Ahmed.
that's another penalty. 1.5 this time. Yeah, the second chicane got him.
So many positions with that.
One of them's his teammate, so he won't get too disappointed by that. Bearing in mind there is no...
Zico Owen potentially going to fall down behind his other teammate Alessandro down in P8.
It's going to be interesting. That's for certain. Yeah, it's all about disrupting rhythms now, isn't it? And if I was Ahmed, I think I would potentially just be in the situation to let Syndra go here.
Yeah.
Even before the penalty line, and just get him out of the way, make sure he's not interrupted in any way for Ascari. They didn't do that. He seems to have got a good exit anyway as they head down the straight now, and there you go, there's Ahmed penalty kicking in. How far is he going to drop? He drops behind Syndra, he drops behind Zico, he drops behind Owen. Alessandro, the next car up, slipping into slipstream, going on the outside, teammates fighting each other. I'm not sure if this is the best idea in the world.
Not with Big Beaver right behind. What is Ahmed doing? He's taking a very tight exit there. Is he ducking into the pits?
He is.
Right, Ahmed has decided this is not for him. He's going to put on the softs for the rest of the race, I reckon, and try and get an undercut on these guys that he's been fighting.
I can't blame him for this.
Because that's a bit of a dodgy exit from turn 1 for Tobias.
Potentially. You got him further back this time.
I did, yeah. I'm trying to get the times right. Yeah, he got the entry into turn 1 wrong, and then he was out of position, went over the sausage curb for turn 2. So that's cost him a bit of time there to Javi. Javi's got a gap down to 1.6 now. And
the interesting scenario about all this, especially from Ahmed's point of view as well, is that now he's done his required two compounds. Everyone else still has to decide when they're going to try and force that issue. But he's getting out of the way early, so he can just focus, get his head down, knock out as many stints as possible. There's a penalty in the background here. This time it's for Fluffy, but Kavar have had a really, really bad start.
Yeah, such a good qualifying as well for them. The three of them all, I think, top 12, top 11. But yeah, I think they will be fortunate to get a single driver in the top 10 at this point.
Yeah, also Tobias a little bit wide there.
On
you don't
the
edge. That too often. You can see the time ticking down.
Yeah, the time's got down. Yeah, it looked fast. It did look fast when he did it, but you don't get style points in ALR, unfortunately.
No, the AstroTurf. The AstroTurf is absolutely not remotely close to being faster. BX is in that little room at the moment where he's just outside the top 8, but inside the top 12. So we'll see how he recovers. Beaver's in 8th as well. You got Alessandro in 7th, Owen in 6th, Zico after that. Then you've got Syndra, Aura, Javi, and then Tobias as well. And we'll just look at this right now. Aura and Syndra are going to go at it. They got released by Ahmed earlier on when Ahmed made his mistakes in his penalty line. That looked like the Ford didn't enjoy that curve too much. It definitely, well,
Nope.
Syndra's car didn't like the exit either, so I guess there's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other between the two drivers in turn 1, and that'll open the door for Aura to just get a little bit of an advantage here. They go towards the second chicane here. It doesn't look like there's going to be an awful lot in it. It looks like Syndra's just a little bit slower than his
really
fastest lap.
clatter the sausage curb on the exit of that second chicane. Oh,
Zico got
Zico.
2.5. Zico's got 2.5. Oh,
Let's
we
see
saw that at the
where
same
that
time.
happened.
That's going to drop
Let's
him.
see how he got that penalty. He hasn't got one yet. It's into this
Second
chicane.
Yeah, second chicane again. Oh, he's cut.
Yeah.
Cut the inside of the first part. You don't get away with that. You got to keep some remnants of the car in bounds. Otherwise, you get a hefty penalty. That's for sure around Monza, and he's going to pay the price very quickly.
This is going to promote Owen, Aero GT. We haven't hardly spoke about all race, but he's just going to pop himself up into P5 through sheer consistency here.
You got Alessandro there as well, and then Bieber after that. So there's Aero GT starting to make their way forward just a little bit. Owen does get past Zico, so will Alessandro, and Bieber's going to get him as well comfortably as we head down towards the Parabolica on lap 5, and that's a bad time for Zico. But if you're looking at this in your RX and you're looking at this in your Falcon, you're looking at that and you're just slightly happy. You're not going to show the emotion yet, but you might be slightly happy in that scenario.
Yep, looks like Aura's been caught up again by Syndra. Syndra might think of a little move under braking. This, didn't happen this time around. So Aura driving pretty well. He hasn't done anything to catch up to Javi in front as he nearly loses it. Great save, to be honest. But that might give Syndra the opportunity that he's been waiting for to have a go into this second chicane.
Yeah, also, I just want to point out, you're saying that he's driving really well, then he spins the half spins immediately. There seems to be the theme for the night tonight. Let's see if anything is going to happen here through the second chicane. They really like the sausage curve on the second chicane.
It shocks me every time I see it, because I feel like they're about to just go straight on.
Someone is about to lose it back there. I think that was Alessandro. Yeah. Beaver's got 2 seconds.
Beaver's got 2 seconds. So everyone just trading huge penalties with each other.
Yeah, Zico will get past Beaver then. And,
Zico's dropped down to
where
8.
We were.
We've got Hollywood down in 10th. Where is BX Royal?
Pit stop, maybe?
Well, he's behind Ahmed, and he's on softs now. He's got quite a lot of fuel, and Ahmed has even more fuel than him, so Ahmed's in a pretty good position right now, and he's going purple in the first sector. So he's enjoying these soft tyres, but he might come under a lot of pressure from BX. He's got a 2-second penalty. Come on. This is a disaster for Project Platypus. BX and Zico seem to be struggling at the moment with penalties.
Yeah, they both had multiple massive penalties in this race so far. We go round Tobias.
What has happened to Tobias? What has happened? He's only got a 7/10 of a second lead at the moment. He's had a problem at Ascari, and that is why Arix Javi has caught right up to him.
Yeah, and it didn't. It looked like Javi might have a shot now.
Absolutely, this has just opened up massively for Javi here, and this is the first time in the entire race that Tobias is going to be under any sort of pressure as well.
Yeah, and I said this before when we were talking about that Tokyo race where Tobias got himself a good time, got himself set up pretty well, and then kind of faded away after a couple of mistakes. He cannot afford to be on the same mistakes tonight, because his teammates aren't giving him help this time. He is well and truly on his own at this point in time. Prime Cole's got 2.5, so that might give a chance to Hollywood especially. Hollywood will definitely get by because he's only within 2 seconds now. Don't think Latari is going to get any chance or Fluffy, but they both drive beside each other at the moment. I
agree. It'll bring them into it a little bit though. And now Ahmed and Slim are ahead of BX Royal, so Slim made his pit stop as well, yes. So BX's penalty has meant an Arix driver is now ahead of him on not even on strategy, on merit. The one that started last as well.
Yeah, you just see that BX has had a really bad start to the night. He needs to fix it up. He's lucky that this isn't just a normal race, which is like usually just over the hour mark, which he would have very little time to try and fix the mistakes. But he's got a little bit longer now. Still 50 laps to go in this race. So it's not all over, but he has got to get his head down. There cannot be any more mistakes from this point onwards.
Absolutely. And what is Tobias going to do? He's keeping very... Oh, Javi's in the pits. Tobias keeps keeping very left to minimise the length of track until he gets to the start-finish line. He actually sets his fastest lap there in 46.801. So that's a good time for him to be putting in the pace here on these mediums. Potentially going to get undercut now from Javi. Let's stick with Javi. He's putting in the fuel. We'll have to see what he comes out with on. I'm assuming it's going to be softs.
I think we should just take a very quick look at the front of the grid, because we still got Aero and SBS and those guys fighting. There was also a couple of people going through the chicane roughly the same time in the battle behind between Owen and Alessandro Company, and those lot are still relatively close. Alessandro within 0.6 of a second of Owen, and Zico seem to be a little bit tailed off at the moment in terms of that. BX is 4 seconds behind Slim. I know he had a penalty, but he was in front of Slim by considerable margin.
There was about 1.3 the last time we checked, and now he's 4.
Another penalty, maybe?
Yeah, it has to be.
I can assume it's in there 1.5, I'm guessing, for BX. His day just gets piled onto at this point in time. And if he's 4 seconds behind Slim, he's definitely behind Ahmed. And well, absolutely.
And Javi is
and
8.6 ahead of Ahmed right now. So Ahmed tried the undercut, but he's still got a huge gap to Javi. Question in the chat: are the mediums mandatory? 2 compounds are mandatory in every race. So it looks like for this one, everyone pretty much decided to get rid of the mediums early doors and just stick on soft for the last 50.
Yep. Pretty much perfectly said. It was a case of you start on half fuel, so it makes sense to get mediums off as soon as possible. Just ride the soft for the rest of this race, and this is essentially what everyone else is going to do. Don't forget that Ahmed had penalties before that and had a bit of an issue on his lap into the pits, so that's why Javi has such an extended gap on him. All that happened prior to the original set of pit stops. Alessandro is really close to Owen, and Zico has actually decided that he wants to show up for once in this race.
Yep, he's had a lot of hard work to do to catch up to the pack after he served that penalty.
Here we go. Is Alessandro going for this?
He isn't.
He isn't. Could have. He absolutely could have gone for that. It looked like he had a lot more of the other speed on Owen and decided against it. Maybe a little bit of self-preservation kicking in, if nothing else. But that's
he's going to have another chance if he wants to take it. He's going to get into a situation soon where he's going to have to overtake Owen, though, or else he'll be caught by Zico. Zico is really closing in the gap, especially in turn 1 where the braking was a bit earlier for Alessandro. Yeah,
and it doesn't look like he's going to get him here either.
Oh, so what a good exit from Alessandro, though, into the Lesbos. Owen is going to have to defend into the first.
Yeah, Owen defends that pretty well. He defends it pretty well. Obviously, the second Lesbos is not going to be an issue if you can survive the first one, just because of the nature of the back-to-back 90-degree corners. You're never really going to make any sort of moves through the second one. The first one is usually the overtaking spot there. And down towards Ascari now, Owen should be perfectly fine to hold on for the rest of the lap, provided he gets Ascari correct. And Zico is trying to get himself involved, and we know now that Alessandro's got to get something going, because Zico is not slow, and
Alessandro's actually got a run on Owen here.
It looked like he might be about to go for that move. Here, pulls out, goes to the outside, the Parabolica. This could be an interesting one. Owen defended the inside very early on and made sure that wasn't going to change. A little bit of a switchback attempt maybe forming. A little bit of contact maybe between the two of them as they still go through Parabolica, and Alessandro has it.
And Owen dives into the pits as well. He doesn't want to get stuck behind Alessandro for a lap, maybe trying an undercut. He definitely had another lap in him, and Big Beaver's into the pits. The only soft runner up in 7th when he comes into the pit stop. Now Zico's coming for Alessandro.
Got him. He's going to get him here down the inside into turn 1.
Yeah, Alessandro did not really fight that.
He should have fought that, and that's a bit of a mistake, I think, potentially on the part of Alessandro there. I guess he can take the slipstream from Zico, potentially work with Zico in this, in all this madness, but it's one of those where defending is probably better for the sake of the team. Hold Zico up a little bit, knowing that they're the direct fight here.
Absolutely. Now it looks like Syndra is definitely getting held back a little bit by Aura here. We know the 4GT is one of the better cars for Monza. It doesn't take corners too well.
Yeah, not Alessandro, Tobias, sorry, is extending his lead, by the way. When Javi pit, that was 4.7, it's now 5.7 over the last couple of laps. So that gap is extending. It'll be interesting to see where he is in relation to Javi when pit stops eventually happen. I can't imagine pit stops being too delayed now, because you can see the red flashing light at the bottom of your screen for Aura. I can imagine Tobias won't be too far away of the same in terms of fuel in the car.
I don't think Tobias has another lap in him.
Here we go.
That fuel light might actually be legitimately flashing now.
Yeah, here we go. Into the pits comes Tobias. If he stays out, then he's thrown away his race. He goes in, dives in. Aura, and I believe Syndra are probably going to follow them in. We go in. Yep, they both are going to follow him. And Tobias has a little bit of more fuel as well, so Tobias might open up a little bit of a gap to those two. Zico into the pits now as well. Alessandro is going to follow him. That leads us to the Cav R boys and well, Latari in particular, who's also going to head into the pits. There's not enough fuel in that car to go one more. Is Prime going to follow him?
Prime Cole is going to lead the race. Get it.
Prime Cole is not going to follow him. He is out. I don't know if he is going to lead the race.
Actually, he might not. Let's have a look at Tobias. Tobias is comfortably out in front of Javi still. So really did well on those medium tyres at the end of that stint. He's still got the fastest lap, even though Javi's been out and doing laps on the soft tyres. He
also put in a significant less amount of fuel in terms of when they
He made sure he got track position. Yeah, you're right. He's got more fuel at the moment as well, and he's ahead. So this is a huge advantage for Tobias at this stage of the race.
Yeah, and well,
heroic first stint, I think it's safe to say. That was fantastic to stay ahead of Javi for that length of time on those soft tyres.
It definitely as good as he could have hoped for coming into this. He made the one mistake that let Javi back in, but since that point he's kind of just locked in and Aura 2 seconds. Aura just picked up the 2, so that might release Syndra.
I was literally just about to say that Aura did very well to come out of the pit still in front in this battle, and that it was important, but he's going to lose that spot. He's put in slightly less fuel than Syndra as well, so Syndra planning to go potentially a little bit longer on this stint. Ahmed, who we know pit so much earlier, is now in 6th, which I think is quite a good result for him as he was getting shuffled back. Zico down in 7th, quite a way behind, but he's going to have fresher tyres to start to close the gap. And then Slim, starting in last place, is 8th now, and it'll be 7th when Prime Call pits.
I was about to say, I kind of want to find out where BX is, because that's where the shuffle is at the moment. We saw BX at the back. He's now 12th after everyone done their pit stop, so he's got to find a way back through. At this point in time, he's got both Aero GT drivers in front of him, but he is legitimately toward the back of the grid.
He is. He might get a spot on Prime Call. He's 20 seconds back at the moment. I think that's probably enough, depending on how much fuel I guess Prime Call puts in. BX has half a tank, so he is going to have the advantage on Big Beaver, who's got 3/4 of a tank, and in a very sluggish Lamborghini for the top speeds at Monza. But he's got Owen's slipstream to help him, and that might be absolutely crucial.
Oh, there's a battle at the front. There's a battle at the front, I think. There's a bit of a...
Oh, Prime Call stayed out again.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm intrigued at how Prime Call's managed to go multiple laps further than anybody else. We've just gone on a replay after as they were about to make the overtake, I think, in the race there. And, yeah,
oh shit, sorry. Now. Hey, no, it's okay, it's okay.
He's going to do it when Javi's about to make a move as well.
We can watch that on a replay as well, it's fine.
It's a work in progress, boys. Tobias into turn.
That was a great overtake for Tobias. Yeah. Very tidy.
Made it look easy.
Now, Prime Call is still ahead of Javi, but the move is probably coming now.
It's imminent. Yeah, you're just about to say that headed down towards the sky. Didn't even put up a fight. Not even a chance.
Yeah.
Javi is gone. didn't even stand a chance. But they are comfortably ahead, by the way, of Syndra in 3rd. It's quite a distance. Well, net P3 and Prime Call's about to pit.
Looks like a 2-horse race at the moment. Aura, after his 2-second penalty, is now 3.3 behind Syndra.
Very cruel around here, aren't they?
Yeah, very unforgiving. Jesus. Now Ahmed's only 7/10 behind, and he might be able to latch onto that slipstream to drag himself further forward as well, as his tyres are starting to go off a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing that I'm finding interesting right now, that the current 8, if you remove Prime Call, so the 7 of the 8, are all drivers from the top 3 teams, and Falcon, and well, most of them are Falcon and... Alex,
yeah, there's a distinct absence of Project Platypus in the top 5, apart from Tobias, but crucially, P1 is the big one, so let's go back to the front and see how Tobias is doing. He's stretched his lead again to 1.3, so I think he's still feeling comfortable on these soft tyres.
it's going to be one of those where mistakes are now going to play the biggest part in all of this, because they're kind of settled in. They're as they were earlier on. They're kind of away from everyone else. The pressure is not necessarily being put on him, so it's just a case of whether or not he can keep it clean, and that's the biggest thing. Prime Call, BX is in 14th.
Yeah, BX is down in 14th, comfortably behind Prime Call, who's just come into the pits. Fluffy Butt challenging him for position as well. His last lap was a 2:07.
But BX, I was about to say, BX was 12th.
Yeah.
He's now 14th.
He's lost 20 seconds. He's lost 20 seconds. And now he's 40 off the lead.
Yeah, that's insurmountable. That's far too much.
If he could get in the top 10, then he's going to have a heroic rest of the race, basically.
Yeah, he's going to have to put something together from there, because especially top half is good luck with that from there. Just good luck. Even with the gap at the front being what it is just a... You're in no man's land now at the back there, and you kind of just have to survive for the next 40.
Absolutely. Right, it looks like Aura is still coming under pressure from Ahmed, so let's stick with this little battle for a while. I think Ahmed played a bit of a blind there coming in early.
Yeah, I think he definitely had a good run at it, that's for certain. And the only issue is he probably has one stop more than makes than everybody else.
Yeah. Slim. What's going on? Slim and Alessandro very close together.
Yeah, let's have a look. But yeah, also in terms of the YouTube chat, potentially might be because we're not on Twitch.
We would be on Twitch, but we don't have the laptops to stream it on Twitch, so there we go. You can't stream on two at the same time, so...
We don't have, I'd say, we don't have the facilities to do it at this point in time. We might
maybe one day. That would be quite cool if we could.
Double up the streams. Have one on YouTube, have one on Twitch at the same time would be probably beneficial, actually, if nothing else. But yeah, we're going through this second chicane at the moment. Slim's still got an advantage on Alessandro. The guys at the front aren't really forcing much of an issue, so they're just kind of, as they were, we've seen three of the top 8 is currently dictated by Team Falcon, which is a good day to have a really good race.
Yeah, Falcon having a blinder at the moment.
If they can
I haven't actually seen any Falcon drivers this season. I think only one actually, all season long. So I've not even had the opportunity to see what they're all about. Yeah,
it's usually very good qualifying and a very painful races. That's been the kind of motto for the last couple of weeks. Like they did well in qualifying. Had Alessandro pole the entire event in our starts, and then that fell to the wayside very quickly. But yeah, everything has had kind of fallen into place and then immediately fallen back out of place for Falcon. So,
a little switch from Slim. This is the opportunity.
Nice save, by the way.
That was a great
nice save on immediate car control just to keep his car going, because that car was almost 90-degree angle.
He did. He kept it in full throttle as well, and that's the reason why he's still currently ahead of Alessandro. Alessandro getting in the bump draft. They are working together. Clever strategy, if that is actually what's going on.
If they are working together properly, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, doesn't it? Where they don't have, they have a common enemy. It's not each other. They have a common enemy, and that common enemy right now has a driver in 14th, and a driver in 6th. So they've got to, if they can get themselves close enough to Zico, who is the Project Platypus driver currently in 6th, then there could be a massive swing in the points. Bear in mind, double points, the gaps between 6th, 7th, and 8th are a lot bigger than they normally are. And so every point counts at this point of the season.
Yeah.
And it's massive. We've got to stress that to the point where a bad day can kill your season and will kill your season, especially if you're not leading the championship anyway.
Yep. Aura's kicked it up a gear here. He's now 1.2 ahead of Ahmed. Looks like he's found his rhythm on these soft tyres. Ahmed in 5th place is actually getting a little bit caught now, and I'm wondering if those tyres looking around 50% worn on the front left now are starting to hurt him a little bit, because look how fresh Zico's are behind.
Yep, and that's probably why Ahmed is... well, it's also probably why Alessandro is wanting to get closer towards Zico as well, give Ahmed a little bit of help He's going to need it. He's going to need it a lot in this race, given the way it started for him. But yeah, the top 4, there's 3 drivers in there we kind of had an inkling that would happen. And then, well, Tobias always had pace, and well, he's putting it together today so far. No mistakes, so no meaningful mistakes yet as we go through the first 15 of this race. And then, yeah, the mistakes have come from some big names, but mainly those that started in the mid to rear of the field.
Bit of a dodgy corner there for Owen.
2
and
penalties
Slim
2 seconds.
gets
Slim,
a 2-second penalty. Oh man, he had the perfect race so far, I think you could argue, and he's that's a tough one. I think it's only going to drop him behind Alessandro. He's got 3.6 to Owen. That should be fine. It'll be tight though on the next straight for Alessandro and Owen.
For Slim and Owen, yeah, and Beaver there
Slim
as
and Owen,
well. If Beaver can get close enough on this lap to help Owen out, he might be able to get past Slim with that penalty. But I wouldn't bet on it.
No, I wouldn't. And he's got the tyre disadvantage as well with how worn they are.
Yeah, I think he should be fine to just lose out to Alessandro and then join the train, potentially behind with the 2 Aero GT drivers at this point in time. Ascari's been particularly clean in this race as well, which is surprising. I would have expected 1 or 2. Well, outside the first lap, actually, it's been particularly clean.
Yeah.
And surprised.
Yeah, fluffy butts incident.
Yeah, well, the Latari went off in the back as well, Slim almost losing control of his car there.
Yeah. Do you think he was trying to go on the grass to not slow down as much? That is a little hack in GT.
Potentially. It would have backfired massively had he spanned the car.
This is it, isn't it? I wouldn't feel brave enough to do it.
I was about to say, you're playing with fire a little bit there, and it's not fire you want to be playing with this late into the season. Maybe if this was race 1, you might have an argument for it, but I don't know. I don't know if I would be kind of pushing that button yet. They're not in panic mode. They're definitely not in panic mode.
Here comes Owen in the M6. He's just caught up in the slipstream a little bit, half a second behind Slim now, and got a much better exit out at turn 1. He's closed the gap a little bit there.
It's kind of extended. Slim got back at him though, coming out into the.
Yeah, this the acceleration of that Gen X. Just as I was saying it, he started accelerating more. So.
Yeah, he's gained about 0.5 of a second there. He's actually 0.2 of a second up on his fastest lap is Slim. So everything about that first sector was not as was described.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also catching up Alessandro just a little bit. And then the first of the Lesmos chimed in. Yeah, Slim's still got a good shot at this. There's still a potential top 5, 6 or 7 in this for him, which would be a very good race for where he started. He started 15th. It was an absolute mare.
Yeah. If I was him, I'd be wondering how much longer am I going to stay out on these? Because the drop-off is coming in pace, and when you start having worn tyres, the risk of getting more penalties is a lot higher as well, and I don't know, he might just be thinking about another undercut. He's got a quarter of a tank left, probably 30%.
I was about to say, I don't think that's going anytime soon. I'm looking at the fuel tank, and that's usually a dictator of where everyone's going to pit. You'll see where they set up and how long they're going to go for, which probably means they're in there for the long haul. So I don't think the drop. I am of the opinion that they think the drop off isn't substantial enough, which. It's Monza. If you can stay in the slipstream, it certainly isn't. So I can understand the thinking there. 45.8 is currently the fastest lap of this entire race by Tobias, by the way. As he just
all of his times are very similar to that as well in the last 4 laps, all within 0.3 of a second of that fastest lap he's done it. And that's exactly why he's gained a 4.8 second lead over Javi right now. Javi's times are in the high 46s for reference, so about half a second off every single lap at the moment.
Yeah, it's just, quite frankly, it isn't happening for Javi right now, and it is happening for Tobias.
And it's also happening for Sindri. He's about 3 or 4 tenths a lap quicker than Javi as well at the moment.
Yep, and he's only about 3 tenths slower than Tobias' fastest lap as well. So Sindri very clearly had the pace, which is interesting, because that would then mean 3 of the top 7 is Falcon, and they have second. Whilst Harrix will then have 3 and 4 if there is an overtake coming.
What that means for the championship is both of them are still going to have a chance of winning next week. I'm not quite sure with Tobias winning if it would be enough to overtake PP. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't.
I don't know if it's enough to overtake them. It'll chunk the gap
But it will
a little bit,
make it very, very spicy next week. If things stay as they are, we've got another 40 laps to go. So a lot is going to happen. But at the moment, it is looking... I'd be pretty happy if I was in Team Arix or Team Falcon.
Especially if they can get a third driver maybe ahead of Zico. You can see him at the 6 and 7, the 6, 7, 8. If they one of them can get ahead of Zico, this could be potentially huge. Alessandro obviously the closest right now. Slim is under fire from Owen. So it's more crucial that Arix Slim does not lose that position than maybe gaining the one on Slim. But yeah, it's on Zico, sorry. But yeah, it's just keeping what they have right now, what we have we hold, and then seeing if you can gain any bonus from it at the end of it. Because right now, you can see you just chart the numbers up. The third drivers, Slim and Alessandro, for example, right now, are beating BX by a considerable margin.
Yeah, BX slapping in the 47s that time around. He has managed to overtake Prime Call, I'm assuming that was on the previous lap. And he's got 15 seconds before he catches the next driver, Latari.
I was about to say, he's extremely slow compared to what we thought he was going to be. Because his fastest lap right now is a 46.9, and Tobias is an entire second quicker
1.1 ahead,
the gap. Yeah, since the last time we saw this gap has been open 12 seconds. So, to the lead, he's now over 50 seconds back. There is a potential here, with 40 laps to go, that BX may end up getting lapped. I know that might be a bold statement.
Well, if he keeps driving like he has so far, he'll definitely be lapped, maybe twice. But on pace, I know that he could. He's only 3 positions away from the top 10. Like I said, 40 laps left to go. He can recover this. If anyone can, it is probably one of the best drivers they are right now. Maybe top 2.
He's one of the best drivers we've ever seen in the actual league. That's a statement I'm well and truly willing to make. Had a run of continuous success here in
he is really the winner of the last 2 races as well. He might not be on paper because he gave both of them up for various reasons, but yeah, he's been unstoppable.
Yeah.
Apart from when he's had to drive around Monza in a BRZ.
And apparently Monza in a GTR as well.
Yeah, right, it's getting exciting now. Javi's last lap was a 48.4. He's lost 2 seconds, and that means that Syndra has caught up and he's 6/10 behind right now. Javi also struggling with his tyres compared to Syndra. I think we might see an overtake in a lap or 2.
Yeah, and that'll just flip the script just a little bit more. If you're Syndra, you're hoping just a little bit here that you don't quite get stuck behind Javi, which is a mad sentence in its own to say, given that Javi has been toward the front with a decent pace for the entirety of this. But if you get stuck behind Javi here, and you've got more pace than him, obviously, as we've seen about 3 or 4 attempts a lap during this stint, the chances of you catching Tobias, even on a mistake, dwindles massively. So he's got to get in front, and he's got to start hunting down that lead.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I think Syndra might even have a chance of winning this race. If you get past Javi, he has only 7 seconds. 7 seconds to go with this length of time left. It's definitely something that he could eat at. Tobias hasn't made any mistakes, really, apart from a mini one on one of the laps, which let Javi get a little bit close. But he's just been on fire and really tuned in. Here it comes. Here comes
Syndra to the inside, going towards turn 1. Will he have it done before turn 1 hits? No, they're side by side as they go into turn 1. Syndra just covers the door and slams it shut. The nice overtake there by Syndra.
Let's have a look again.
Into turn 2. And look at this. Javi was caught. Caught was back down a little bit here. And Syndra. Yeah, and look at this. This is the most impressive part of it. He gets it and he closes it. He slammed that door shut. He makes sure that Javi cannot be alongside him into turn 2, into turn 3, and that's how you make an overtake work, especially in turn 1 at Monza, and make it clean, because that was really clean.
That was a great overtake. No touching, and yeah, they both positioned their cars perfectly for the corner to try and gain the advantage. But yeah, Syndra just had far too much there. Great piece of work. Now he's got 7.5 to catch Tobias. So keep it. Remember that 7.5 seconds was the gap when he took P2, and see what he could do for the rest of the stint, basically. Javi will be very well positioned to take advantage of his slipstream and try and come along for the ride as well. So we can't rule Javi out at the moment.
No, of course not. And we've watched far too many of these races, these eSports races, these Monday night races that we do, to know that Javi is out of this, because Javi is a perennial winner, and he is successful in everything that he tries to do. So it's just whether or not he can continue to fight back, and it doesn't look like he's doing a very good job of it right now. Sintra's covered 7/10 of a second already, and cut the gap just slightly, maybe just a 1/10 of a second there to Tobias.
Yeah, absolutely. A 1/10 of a second here and there will catch him up to Tobias eventually.
I don't know if he'll catch him up by the end of this race, though. He might have to start chunking a little bit more than that. Because a 1/10 of a second, you're looking somewhere around about the 74 lap mark to get closer there.
All right, come on. It was quick math. It was compelled math.
We definitely don't have enough time for that to happen, that's for sure. Slim 6 seconds behind Alessandro now, so Alessandro drove away. Owen has been overtaken by Big Beaver,
yeah,
so everything has slightly changed at the back here.
2 Aero boys in the top 10 though, you'd love to see it. This would be a pretty good result for them if they can carry that on. Fully ahead of who they're competing against, Kavar.
Yeah, they already have a 30-40 point advantage over Kavar, and Kavar, yes, it was a horrid start. It was the nightmare start, and that's what's realistically hindered them at the moment.
Yeah. 48.2 that time for BX.
He just does not have the pace.
Something's happening. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say at the end of it about what's going on. But yeah, too many mistakes. He's only gapped Prime Call by 2.7.
Not to disrespect Prime Call at all.
However,
we've seen a lot of the times where he just simply, BX is just simply better by a mile.
Well, have a look at this.
Today.
Forget BX
also,
because he's just taken over a second out of Tobias that lap. 46.5 was Syndra's last lap. 47.5 was Tobias's last lap. So Tobias clearly made a mistake somewhere. The tyres are pretty similar.
Just over 50, they're just under 50, I think that is. Ahmed now into the pits. We know that Ahmed's out of sync with the rest of the group.
Yeah.
Because of his extremely early pit stop.
Timed his strategy pretty well with how worn the tyres are and with how empty his fuel is.
Yeah, he's getting it. It's getting things right at the moment. In comes Slim as well. So it looks like Slim looked to a very similar strategy to what Ahmed did potentially.
Yep.
And that'll unleash Owen and Beaver for the moment. You see Hollywood not that far behind these two. There is still a chance that Hollywood might put a veer into the rear view of these two. Oh, Beaver can't be doing that too many times. Well,
that wasn't great, Big Beaver.
A second or two back. As soon as we say
replay of that.
I was about to say, as soon as we bring out the point that Hollywood is about to just peer into the rear of these two.
Brakes
Beaver
too late.
just misses the brake.
Brakes too late.
At all.
And then he can't take turn 2. Right. Yeah.
He's going to be a lot closer. Hollywood's going to be a lot closer now than he was prior. That's a certain. Just under 3 seconds now. And it seems to be getting shorter and shorter as they go through each corner.
Yeah.
There is still a good amount of points here for Kavar and their little battle to see who can get 4th best on the season. Yeah, as we go along, it's still chunking time out of it, this, by the way, for
yeah,
Syndra.
and he's leaving. He's actually leaving Javi for dust here. I wonder when Javi's going to come into the pits, because he can get this time back with a good undercut. He's going to stay out. Well, he's got maybe 3, potentially 4 laps more fuel, do you think, with what he's got left?
It's not blinking yet, and Prime Call managed to get an extra couple of laps out of a non-blinking, so I think it's probably around about the 3 lap mark left on that tank. We'll wait and see as we go along. Ahmed just coming out the pit, he's in 11th, 7.7 seconds ahead of Prime Call right now. Where's BX?
BX is... where is he? I'm guessing he's gone into the pits. Oh, and he's got
another penalty! Another penalty after his pit stop. He's 20 seconds off the back of Slim. Bear in mind, when he came out of the first pit stop, they were fighting.
Yeah. Slim got himself a penalty as well. That is absolutely... Look, he is doing it. I told you he's doing it.
He is.
I told you. Right.
Okay, you were right there.
Let me explain the reasoning behind this for our viewers. So he's got his penalty. He's coming round. The theory is, if you go on the grass, because you're braking, the brakes don't engage with the grass as much as they do with the tarmac, so you don't lose as much time. And that's exactly what Slim's done. It's not against the rules. We have no rule about it because hardly anyone even knows that this is a thing.
That's just if you get that right. If you're gonna get that right, you're gonna get that right.
Yeah.
Fair play.
It looks like he's about to bloody spin every single time he does it, though. Tobias extends his lead. Look, there's been some sort of mistake for Syndra. He's now back to 6.4. He was below 6 last time.
I still don't think that's going to be too heartbreaking for Syndra at the moment. He's showed that he's got the speed. He can get this going. It's probably just that Syndra dropped below the 50% mark on his tyres. But if he's going to get in a position where him and Tobias are going to be fighting like that the entire way through, and he's got the better tyres on the way, then this is going to become very close very quickly. In comes Javi off of his soft tyres here.
This is absolutely crucial for Javi. Will he come out in any sort of traffic? He might come out around about here. So let's stick with Big Beaver and see what happens.
Hollywood's closed that from 3 down to 1.1.
Yeah.
Hollywood has had a flying last couple of laps here. As he looks to try and get a position or two. Bear in mind, if he could get a position on Beaver, that's point swing both to Kavar and away from Aero GT. They're both coming in. Yeah, they're both coming in. Oh, Kavar's got a lot less fuel.
Latari's still got a bit of fuel left. He might carry on, but I think Javi might already be out. Yeah, he's already at the end of the straight anyway. He's behind Owen, so Owen might cause him a bit of grief if he catches up to him. There's only 3 seconds.
I would like to point out that Javi is significantly ahead of Ahmed as well at this point.
Ahmed.
That gap,
yeah, you're right.
It's about 12 seconds still.
And Ahmed's behind Latari. So that's going to give him a bit of grief as well. Towards the end of this lap, potentially.
We'll wait and see, but Latari might get to the pits before he even reaches. Yeah, he might just get to the pits before he even reaches him. So that might be a moot point. Tobias again swinging that back the other way. It's 6.9 now.
Yeah, Tobias on fire at this stage of the race. He's got a 6.9 gap on his closest rival, and he is going to continue on. Yes.
Yep, we see that tight line he's been keeping the entire way through this race. He's just a little bit slower there, coming out of Parabolica than Syndra. So we'll look to see how this unfolds, because this is going back and forth. Aura's 7.8 seconds off the back of Syndra. They were fighting not too long ago, so Aura's just kind of settled in, I think, potentially for fourth in this race.
Tobias the only one of the front runners who is still managing to lap in the 46s. Everyone else in the 47s, and Zico in the 48s.
Alessandro's still managing to close that gap just a little bit then. If Zico's in the 48s, that's heavy as well, and Ahmed, who's just about to come up to the back of Latari. Latari might pit this lap.
If I was Latari, I would, just so that I didn't have to battle, but he has carried on.
Okay, so he has engaged in battle here with Ahmed. It's 4/10 of a second. It won't happen into turn 1.
Ahmed in the 46s is the fastest man on track at the moment.
New set of softs, not too surprising. He's going to back off, not go for it to turn 1, which is probably the sensible option. Self-preservation is massive in a race like this. We're not even at the halfway point yet. And yeah, it looks like there might be a possibility here into the second chicane. He's going to go for it, potentially. Got a better run now. Can he get it down into the second chicane either alongside? Is he going to get it? He is going to get it. He's ahead before they even hit the corner. That is well driven there by Ahmed with the overspeed, and he kept the car in as well. No penalty.
Absolutely
nice
perfect.
Little move.
Let's ride on board with Ahmed and see what happens here.
He's got himself the tyre advantage there, and he's got himself and the best way to use it.
Later on the brakes he was, and he threads it perfectly to avoid penalties as well, which is pretty phenomenal, because it's so easy to get a penalty there when you're side by side.
Yeah,
into the pits come the front runners.
All of them. Yep,
all of them.
Aura again had less fuel once in this. It looks like everyone just chose the same strategy.
Zico's coming
cars
as well.
be doing the same.
Yeah,
Alexandra
they've
will be doing the same.
They've all separately
all
arrived at the same strategy. So
they all got the same fuel tank apparently.
Javi managed to get past Owen somewhere. Unfortunately, we didn't see that, but he is. Well, Tobias is already out of the pits. He's put in 85-ish% of fuel. He's got a huge lead over Javi, and here comes Syndra. He is going to be comfortably ahead of Javi as well, despite Javi getting the undercut. So the undercut is just not working for Javi.
And yeah, we've seen here the undercut is not as strong as other people may have thought. It had gained him a decent chunk of time on Syndra, obviously, that's how undercuts work.
Yeah, Syndra's lost time to Tobias here. He's now 7.7 behind.
Ooh, this is just kind of stabilizing at what it was prior. Yeah. So
Syndra really was on a charge. I'm not quite sure what's happened.
His tires dropped.
Yeah, I guess
that's what it is. It was
but
Tobias
the thing is, they're in the same car,
are
they? Isn't Tobias in the Gen X?
Yeah, but Tobias hit 50 first, so he had an extra couple of laps where he was able to, having got 2 seconds, well, there goes any gaps on the undercut.
This could bring Aura back into it, because he's going to start seeing Javi get a bit closer and fancy. Well, actually, they're on the same team. What am I talking about?
They're on the same team, yeah. I'm about to say that won't be the case next season, but it's right
because
now.
I don't think of him as an Arix driver, because he's not. This is a fraud driver racing for Arix right
now. All the FGR lads in chat cheering for him as well. It doesn't really give the representation of an Arix driver, but he is. So it doesn't really mean anything in terms of the actual championship. So yeah, Aura might be able to be brought slightly back into it, but one thing's for sure, that just allows for Syndra and company to disappear off into the distance. For sure now.
Owen comes out of the pits right ahead of Slim, by the looks of things. So
Slim's in 10th. Is that BX? No, it's Cabar Hollywood. So BX is
down in 14th. He's still 9.6 away from any of the Cabar boys.
Yeah, boy. Oh god, BX's day has. Well, he's got a 46.6 now. There is a positive there, I guess. He is now matching Javi's time. The only issue is he's only 50 seconds off the pace. That may be the main issue right now.
Yeah, he's putting a bit of pressure on Owen. Yeah, 43 seconds off the lead. He needs to be top 6 by the end of the race. He can actually see 6th place from where he is on this straight, so it is achievable.
Here comes Slim to the inside of turn 1. Can he get it done before turn 1 even hits? Owen tries to crowd him out. It doesn't work. And again, we see that move just to slide the door shut into the entrance of turn 1. That way the driver behind cannot fight it back. And it's a nice little move to have in your arsenal where you're able to just place the car in a position where you know that the opposite driver cannot fight you back. And if you can do it well, like we've seen Syndra do early on Javi and Slim now do on Owen, it looks really good.
Yeah, great overtake there for Slim, and now he's got 2.8 to Primecall. Primecall's 8th. Where did he pop up, Rob? Oh, he still has to come into the pits, I guess.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to anytime soon.
I'm about to say we know that he's on the alternate strategy of...
Is he doing one less stop than everyone as well?
Potentially. He's fuel saving like an absolute madman.
Yeah.
At the moment. Bear in mind, he went 2 laps quicker. He went 2 laps further to start with. He's now going to go potentially double that on this lap. On this stint. He's still got over 25% of fuel.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of short shifting. Well, this is interesting. The only one, it looks like, who's actually trying the 2 stopper.
I was about to say something different.
Gotta respect it.
Which is an interesting scenario that he might bring up against the likes of Slim, for example, where the extra stop for Slim and company will mean they actually have to overtake him on track.
Hollywood trying to get his team out of the bottom 3 positions on track at the moment. Found themselves shuffled down a little bit now.
I was about to say it's not the bottom 3 positions on track. It's
oh no, BX is in there as well.
BX and company still exist in the back.
Here he comes, Hollywood on the inside. It's turn 1. Big Beaver breaks incredibly late, and it's not good enough. Manages to avoid any contact, but that was just a little bit too deep for Big Beaver.
far too late on the brakes, and you can see it here. We will run you through it on this replay. You can see that Beaver, sorry, was on the outside. Hollywood tried to just kind of close the door, but Beaver just tried to get on the throttle again when you saw that Hollywood wasn't braking late. And at that point, you can see that he just went too late, went far too deep, and you're not recovering from that.
Too late on the brakes there. And that is Hollywood up to P11, 3.8 off the top 10, but he's potentially the top 10 when Prime Call makes his pit stop as well.
Yeah.
And here is a little bit of a Prime Call train going on. Slim and Owen have caught up to the back of him now. He's lapping in the 49s, that's why.
Well, that's because he's tired of dying, and he's also fuel saving in a GTR. Those two things never usually go hand in hand. Because the GTR is usually good on fuel in the first place, so if you shift it less than the rev mark, then you are going to struggle to find that pace, and that's exactly the scenario that Prime Call finds himself in right now, into the point where Slim in that Genesis, if I was Slim, I wouldn't go now. I'd potentially just go to the end of the straight, maybe a little bit of contact there, but he's got to go to the inside. He's got to go now, and he's going to get it now.
Yeah, it is Prime Call diving in. No, he's going to carry on again, so potentially going to try and move back on Slim here. I don't think he's going to be able to do it with the engine in the Gen X, but he's instead going to be letting his teammate through. That's what he's doing. He knew that's why he was indicating there. He was letting Owen know, I'll get out of the way so that you could try and get Slim. That's worked out pretty well for Owen. He's only half a second behind now.
Yeah, Prime Call knows that he's on a different strategy, and his fight is not those two drivers. So he he did what he could to hold Slim up, and then released him and Owen to try and get something out of this. They are still a considerable way away from Alessandro, who in turn is a mile and a half of anyone worth of note.
Whoa. What's happened to this lead?
I don't know, but Tobias...
Look at this, lap 28, a 1 minute 50.1 for Tobias. That's 4 seconds pretty much that he's lost.
That's
on
a penalty. That's a penalty.
I think it might be, you know. It's too far in the back to get the replay up. But...
It's a 2 second penalty. That's roughly the amount, 2.5 seconds. So all of a sudden, we have a fight.
We have a very realistic fight. 3.8. Is that the lowest it's ever been since he overtook Javi? I think it might be.
It might be. Also, just seeing that FGR Millis is trying to warn Prime Call away from the lesser strategy.
I think it's too late. I think he committed when he stayed out so late on the first stint.
Yeah,
Ahmed up
he's
to
done
P5
that before.
now.
Yeah, Ahmed has been in a good place. I assume his tyres are significantly worse than Zico's right now, though, because obviously Ahmed had the longer stints after pitting early. He's comfortably behind Aura. There's never going to be a fight there, so he's just going to hold himself ahead of Zico. But apart from that, the top 4 or 5 drivers are kind of just set where they are right now. The fights are coming later on in the group with Slim and Owen. They head down towards turn 1 right now, not that far away from each other. But yeah, as a whole, Zico not really threatening Ahmed. The rest of the guys at the front not really threatening each other either. And Sindri looks like he's still waiting on a mistake.
Prime Call has been now caught by Hollywood, so he's just continued to go backwards. That previous lap was 1 minute 50. That is also brutal, and that's 3 seconds slower than what Hollywood is doing, so I think it might be curtains for another position for Prime Call here.
It might not be here. It turns out if he gets a good exit, that is a good exit there compared to Prime Call. Maybe the first Les Mode, Prime Call moves to the inside to try and defend it. And Hollywood looked for a split second there on the inside, tried to make it work, didn't get it. Now goes to the inside of the second Les Mode. He's going to get a good run out of the second Les Mode, and this should be the position here down to Ascari. I would be very surprised if this does not end up in a position gain for Hollywood. They're going to be side by side as they head all the way down to Ascari. Late braking should get it if he can late brake well enough. They are still side by side. The camera angle not particularly great, but Hollywood's going to get it. It looks like on the outside there.
Is he going to get a penalty? I'm not too sure.
No, he's not. Ascari's not over usually a place for penalties, that's for certain.
Now he's going to let Big Beaver past. Right, let's watch this replay and see how that happened, because I'm sure that I saw Hollywood off track here. He was. Not too bad actually. I thought it was more than that.
As I say, it's not penalty worthy on the outside of on the inside of the second corner of the Ascari. It's usually outside exit of Ascari that usually causes issues if you're going to get a penalty. So Hollywood is perfectly fine there, and Beaver's also caught all the way back up, so that fight might be about to reignite as well. As we go into turn 1, doesn't really look like Beaver's close enough. It is half a second between the two right now, and it's 3 seconds that split Owen and Hollywood. Hollywood obviously not having this slipstream as of right now, and neither does Owen actually, by the looks of things. Those guys are just kind of...
Yeah, Owen's all on his own right now.
Yeah, Owen's on his own.
Don't think he'll be too unhappy with that with fresh tyres. Try and focus on catching our current Tier 1 Championship leader Slim, who's on his recovery drive from his P15 in quali back up to the top 8, but he's on a bit of a janky strategy with pitting earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, out of curiosity, where do we stand in the fight for the lead? Where is that gap? It was 3.8 before, it's now 4.3, so the gap is opening back up.
Yeah. So
it was very clearly a massive mistake, a penalty-worthy mistake there from Tobias, and now he got back and has driven fairly quickly.
Yeah. So I think the common theme here is Tobias is quicker than Syndra, but is making more mistakes. So it's a question of, it's all in Tobias's hands. If he can just avoid the penalties, he's going to be absolutely fine in this race.
Yeah, as you said, Tobias is to lose rather than anybody else's to win. We still have a long way to go though, and a lot of penalties could still be coming.
Yes.
But yeah, everyone seems to be fairly kind of stretched out on the track at the moment.
Yeah, let's have a quick look through for some action. Zico is slowly catching Ahmed, 2 seconds behind now. His last lap was a 46.7, which was actually exactly the same as Ahmed. But the previous lap Zico was quicker, so he's got the opportunity. They're on very similar fuel, but Zico's tyres are fresher, so he's got to get that P5 back and actually have 2 Project Platypus guys in the top 5 by the end of the race.
Yeah, bear in mind that Ahmed is on a different strategy to everyone else at the front as well. My boys very clearly didn't like that.
Look at this though. Here's some action for us. The battle for P10 isn't over. Hollywood working so hard to overtake Aero GT drivers, but now he's got Big Beaver all over the back of him.
Yeah, this is the issue when you enter 1v3 without backup. Yes. Because now he had Owen before, he's got Beaver before, now Beaver's trying to fight it back until he loses the car! And he's somehow on track still, but he did not get a good exit whatsoever out of the second chicane. You'll see in this replay right now, you can see that he gets it all wrong again. These chicanes have been the bane of his existence.
I mean, he brakes on time, and then I think he lifted a little bit.
Yeah,
and then he nearly spins it there as well.
It's a feat. We've been seeing it all day so far, where we saw it in the other replay we were looking at, where he gets in, tries to get off the braking to use the throttle to get through a corner, and it betrays him massively, almost betraying Syndra there on the exit of turn 2.
Another good save. We've seen a lot of good saves
actually
down,
by the way.
Yeah, the gap's gone back down. Yeah, it's a little back and forth between the two of them. Javi in absolute no man's land now, as is Aura.
Aura, yeah.
But this is solid.
Set for
third, fourth, and 8th for Arix. Not as good as their round 7 last season, but this at the moment is looking pretty good for them. Still a long way to go.
The real question is how much of that, or if any, of that 50 points they're going to chunk out, because the second driver, Aura's beating Zico by a couple of positions, and Slim is hammering BX right now.
Yep. Actually,
we've obviously got Tobias.
Let me get the standings up. We'll do some live standings. So we've got pole position for Project Platypus, and at the moment the fastest lap, so we'll assume that stays as it is. Then we've got 1st, 6th, and where's BX? Let's go all the way down.
Zico is in fact catching up to the back of Ahmed, which we expected. The tyres are obviously going to be far better on Zico's car right now than they will be on the car for GT Ahmed, as they go towards what will be the end of another stint. Almost twice there for Zico. As he comes out of Ascari, that might have just about saved him from the penalty, that second slide, actually. Because there's definitely a considerable amount of distance off of that line. But yeah, he's given some of that time back to Ahmed at the end of the day. Now they're starting to slide his car a little bit.
Yeah. So as it stands, there is... hold on.
gap was 51 at the beginning.
The gap
of
is
the night.
45 as it stands, so not many points actually in the end, mainly because 8 of those points are going to get regained by Project Platypus with fastest lap and pole position.
Yeah. Well, depending on whether or not someone takes the dive for it later on, we might see that. Oh, Zico got 3 seconds! It won't matter in terms of the fact that he gets overtaken from behind, but it will put the nail in the coffin in this stint anyway of catching Ahmed.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a huge penalty to be getting in one go. 3 seconds, you usually only get that when you leave the pits.
Yeah, BX is currently 13th. He has had an absolute tragedy of a day.
Yes.
So up to this point, it's been... I might go out on a limb, and I think this might be the worst I've ever seen BX drive. So it's been one of those nights. One of those days. Are you
sure?
You
because there has been some performances.
There has, but I don't really think there's been ones on a bigger stage like this.
Yeah, this is the crucial game. Gap now down to 3 seconds, actually below 3 seconds for the very first time. Just dipping under there, so Syndra looking pretty comfortable again in this portion of the stint. You know, like when the tyres are starting to get a little bit, just a little bit worn. I was
about to say, at this point, there isn't a 50% mark that we can just go, yeah, the tyres are starting to degrade this time. Yeah. It literally just looked like, at this point in time on this race, the Syndra might just be a little bit quicker. He might just be in a position to charge. The real question is, how long is he going to be able to hold that position?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is phenomenal driving from the both of them. Like the consistency here, even when we say, oh, they've had a bad lap, they're still lapping in the 47s, which is quicker than, you know, a lot of these guys are going to do all race. So yeah, just massively impressive. They've left Javi for dust. He's 7.3 behind Syndra now. So this recruitment, this late season recruitment for Falcon, is actually hammering Arix in the championship right now.
Yeah, well, it's certainly given them an opportunity. I would be very interested to see Dino and SBS both drive in the same race. That could get very interesting later if they do Bathurst together. But yeah, both of the R-Live drivers seem to have an immense pace when they come and do the GT series in the eSports series in ALR. So
Zico's last lap was a 151, by the way, with how he had to serve that 3-second penalty. He's now 6 behind Ahmed. Still 12 ahead of Alessandro, though. Might be a bit of a lonely race for the rest of the one for Zico.
It's going to be a case of who makes the most mistakes now. Zico has got to get things right. Carvar, is Hollywood still ahead of Beaver?
Hollywood is still ahead of Beaver. Now he's starting to gap him, But there's these 3 cars. Owen Beaver, Latari joining the fun as well. Yeah.
Oh, this could be interesting. Bear in mind, these two are essentially the straight shootout for 4th place in the tier in the entire season. Moreover, Carvar about 40-point deficit the last time I was aware.
Roundabout.
Coming into the day, and
35.
If they can start making moves toward the front here, things could get fairly interesting in that little battle of Bathurst next week.
Absolutely, especially with how good the M6 is at Bath. Oh, just to say that.
How good the M6 is, Austin.
Dear me, every time.
That has been a theme tonight.
Every time.
Huge theme tonight.
I missed my commentator's curse in this lobby.
If I can't do the commentator's curse, someone else has to. That's you. Hollywood still ahead of Beaver, still ahead of by over a second right now as well. Latari
has extended his lead on BX Royal to over 10 seconds from last time we checked.
Yeah, BX is just not having a day.
Lapping solidly in the 47s, but like BX is as good as Tobias over at that pace. Give or take a couple of tenths. So he shouldn't be a full second off his pace. I mean, is it the car, the Nissan?
No,
Prime calls him the Nissan. He's in last place after he's made another stop. But is there any other Nissans in this race, actually? Lamborghini, BM. What's Slim in? The Gen.
Genesis, yeah. Alessandro the Porsche. GTR and Zico.
Oh, well, yeah, Zico's getting a performance out of it, and he's, well, he can lap in the 46s, but he's been very inconsistent these past two.
I just don't understand why he's so off today. It might just be.
Is it pressure? Is the pressure of Project Platypus getting to them a little bit? They've not really made any mistakes that I've seen when I've been watching back the streams this season.
Well, they've been making some ballsy calls all season. There's usually Zico and BX at the centre of those calls, and well, that's not happening tonight. That's a certain. Tobias looks to be the lone man at the front. So,
whoa! You love to see it. That was good.
I will say that the GTR, from experience of driving here on that car on Monday, is extremely twitchy on the slow exits. Out of the first chicane, out of the second chicane, it does not like it. It's not that quick, and it does kind of. I don't know how it feels when you do the downforce, but especially when you're on normal BOP like we were on Monday, it's just a constant gnawing feeling at you that. Every time you come out of those slow corners, the car in front of you, if it's a Gen X or if it's something like that.
Hello.
Oh,
what has happened to Bias? So 149 the previous lap. Now the gap is under a second. We're in slipstream range on lap 38. We've got 20 more laps to go, and Tobias is going to start feeling the pressure now.
He's going to start feeling the tyre wear as well. We're about to hit 50 on his tyre, and I don't think Syndra's close. Syndra's relatively close.
Syndra's maybe got 5% more, potentially.
Yeah, slightly better as a whole. This has got very interesting. I don't know what happened to Tobias. I'm guessing it'll have been another penalty on that lap with a 49. I can't imagine it being much else unless he'd had a half spin somewhere. But it would have been a small penalty if it was a penalty, and now the door is well and truly open.
Absolutely. I'm just going to do a quick calculation. If this one overtake happens, that reduces the gap between Project Platypus and Arix, who aren't even involved in this battle, to 39 points.
And I'll be chunking out about a 12-point gap in this one, which is not enough. It's purple right now for Syndra, who's just gone slightly deep there into the second chicane. He was probably hoping to hit the inside of that first sausage curve a little bit more than he did.
Yeah, he needs to be taking out a bit of a chunk on Tobias here because he's stuck at like the second mark at the moment.
I think it'll take that because we've seen this entire time where Tobias starts dropping off on the tyres because he has ever so slightly worse tyre wear in the same car than Syndra. That Syndra then uses that period of time, the 2 or 3 laps that you get the difference, to just chunk Tobias' time out. So if I'm Syndra, I'm okay with this gap. There's a penalty out in front.
Yeah, it's Prime Call who's going to get lapped fairly soon by the looks of things.
But yeah, if I'm Syndra, I'm fairly happy with this scenario right now because it looks like Tobias is feeling the pressure, feeling the tyre wear just a little bit. And if that's the case, then this is going to play right into the hands of Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon don't have a win in ALR. I think they've won Lobby B, but they've never won at the top table. And this is potentially their best chance on his debut as well. Syndra just waltzing into ALR and telling everyone how quick he is.
There is a chance here where if we do get the scenario where Syndra and Dino races next week with Dino's consistency and Syndra's outright pace, that Falcon may spring a surprise at Bathurst. And that is going to be a crazy scenario if that happens. I don't really know how the Genesis is at
I raced there in the Genesis. It's pretty good, to be honest. It's pretty good around there.
And this could be really good news because there's a Lexus in there. And
half a second is the gap right now. They've got a lapped car to negotiate as well. I think it's about to get spicy.
It might do. It depends on how much Prime Cole is going to play into this. Prime Cole still hasn't pit, by the way.
No, he must have.
As a result of his second one. Oh, no, he has. Yeah, sorry, he has.
Yeah, he's on fresh.
Yeah, he just pit. Sorry, my bad. So yeah, that medium tyre I just saw on Prime Cole's car.
It is indeed, and he's still keeping Tobias behind. I wonder how much swearing Tobias is currently doing.
Bear in mind, blue flags are well and truly in Tobias!
Nearly lost it!
Oh, the dirt, almost came into play there at the end of Ascari.
Here we go.
Oh, that could have been massive. That almost disastrous for Project Platypus. If he loses the car, he'll lose multiple positions. He won't lose one, and it will just let Syndra just stroll off into the distance. Primecall obviously going to be the roadblock here.
He's out. Is he getting out of the way? Surely. Yeah, he is.
He's not even going to get the chance to. He's not even going to be a debate. Here comes Tobias down towards turn 1. Don't even need to get towards turn 1. Here comes Syndra as well, who might be going for it now. He will go for it on Primecall. Is he going to go down the inside, potentially on Tobias as well? Nobody is significantly closer now.
He is. The gap is half a second, so even though he had to go side by side with Primecall into turn 1, which is absolutely not ideal when you're lapping a car, he still managed to keep the gap to half a second with Tobias. That is fantastic for him, and he still could just pick up right where he left off.
Yep, it's not over. We are going to have a fight for the race here. We've got about 17 and some change left to go, and these two have been the heavyweights of this race. They are going at it hammer and tongue right now. Slim into the pits, which means I can only assume Ahmed shouldn't be too far away as well.
Ahmed's still out, so Ahmed's going a little bit longer. He probably has to come in this lap, doesn't he?
It's only one lap longer. He doesn't really have much of a choice at this point. Also, Hollywood is ahead of Owen and Beaver.
I have other people come into the pits as well, because I can't see.
Let's have a look. You're going to have to find Owen and Beaver.
There's Owen in the pits, BX in the pits, Fluffy Butt hasn't come into the pits yet.
Beaver has come into the pits.
Beaver
has. Onto the mediums, ooh.
He hasn't done a medium stint yet. He was the one on the softs at the start.
Oh yeah, of course he was.
So this is the stint of pain, and this is Kavar's opportunity now to seal a victory over all of their drivers, finishing ahead of 2 Aero GT races to close that gap down. And that's quite massive.
I was about to say, the strategy has not played a good part in Aero GT's race today in the slightest. Let's have a look.
I'm looking at the battle for P14 between BX and Primecall, but BX is about to get lapped by Tobias fairly soon. Tobias still 4 tenths of a second ahead. Javi's doing yet another undercut due to the strategy that he's on.
I was about to say, which means, guess what? We're going to see all the rest of the top guys come into the pits immediately now. At the end of this lap, this needs to be all just doing the exact same thing.
Well, if I was Tobias, I would absolutely be pitting this lap, because I need as much of an advantage over Syndra as possible. If I was Syndra, I might try the opposite of what Tobias does, to be fair.
I don't think he has the fuel.
He has fuel. I think they both have fuel. For another lap, but it's going to kick off now.
That looks good!
Having to go defensive into the Lesmo, and this is potentially switchback territory for Syndra. He can't do it.
Not there, but into the second Lesmo as he goes. If he can get a good exit here, Ascari might be all his. It didn't look good for Tobias mid-corner. You see Ahmed and Hollywood into the pits now as well. As these two head down towards Ascari, the slipstream is going to help. It's going to help Syndra try to get close now. But is he going to be close enough as we head into Ascari? No, he is not. Tobias holds on for a split second longer. We head for Ascari. It looks a little bit better, a little bit cleaner here on the exit for Syndra. Oof. Oh, a little bit of a snap for them both.
Nearly lost it.
And as we go down the straight, 4 tenths of a second. It's into the 3 tenths of a second now as we head towards Parabolica. This straight towards turn 1. If SBS here, if Syndra can get himself a good exit out of Parabolica, could be all his. As we head now through Parabolica, they're not going wide. Tobias keeps his tight line. He's been true to that the entire time. Into the pits he goes.
I think that's the wrong move for Syndra.
I don't think he had a choice. They're only on 4% fuel, and I don't think that would have been enough.
Is 4% not enough for one lap?
I don't think so. I think it's 5. I think it's just about on that range.
Well, let's stick with them, because
7 earlier.
My question now is, are either of them going to underfuel for track position? There was 1% in it between the two of them. Looks like Tobias's fuel tank is filling up a little bit quicker than Syndra's.
It's going to be interesting. What's the choice here? Zico into the
still
pits
both
as well.
going. They both go
the
to
same.
85.
It's almost identical. They're all together again. Oh, come out the pits. Is it going to happen? Can Syndra go for it here? There might not be enough space into turn 1. The pit lane is going to save him. The pit lane is going to save Tobias there, because it looked like Syndra was coming out with a lot of speed. And it looked like he had a little bit of an overspeed compared to Tobias out of the pit lane, and that almost happened. It is close. It is very close, and we might have just gone into the final stint of this race.
I think we are.
This is going to be it. This is going to be the huge stint. Who's going to win? Is it Falcon or is it Project Platypus? And for the sake of winning this race, Project Platypus would manage to stop any sort of damage being done to them as we head towards Bathurst, and a 50-point lead would not quite be insurmountable, but would begin to think and feel that it's insurmountable.
Tobias clattered the second Lesmo there on the exit. That actually didn't affect him too much. He's losing a tiny bit of time to Syndra at the moment.
I was about to say, we've seen this before though. It's the early stint that Tobias loves, and then it's the late stint. He makes a mistake, and then it's in for Syndra to try and make a move out of it. We'll see if he can do it. It's going to be a grandstand finish at this rate.
Yeah, we've been going for 43 laps, so the gap is 0.7 of a second.
I think we might have a fight for 5th.
Fight for 5th? Oh well, do we really? Because he's got a 1.5-second penalty.
We might have a bigger fight for 5th. Yeah, it's 2 each. The rules in terms of settings, Melissa, say the exact same from when you were in last season.
Yes.
Nothing has changed. That didn't look too great there on the exit there from Ahmed. Is he going to try the outside? Nope, he didn't.
No.
Okay, so Slim seems to be one that knows. Zico, for some reason, goes to the inside there.
Yeah, gets away with it.
I'm pretty sure the outside of the track would have worked just as well, potentially even better.
This is a very important overtake, by the way. Project Platypus 2 in the top 5 now. That is going to give Perry, who's having a heart attack as we speak, a bit more of breathing space. Let's talk about breathing space.
There's not a lot of the front. There's not a lot of the front. Syndra's got a good run at the moment. Oh, that didn't look too great. They clattered into the second sausage curb, and it's exactly what we were saying before. Tobias had a good run in the beginning part of each stint, and we've seen this repeatedly. But the problem is, if he's not going to get that massive gap at the beginning of this stint here, it's going to come towards the end. The tires are going to start to drop off, and it's going to go right back to Syndra. And Tobias, if this was the gap when that happened, does not have enough of a gap to fight it.
So my theory is, Tobias is great on fresh tires and hasn't quite figured out to the same level as Syndra how to drive on worn tires and how to make those adjustments and still be fast. But he's really messed up Ascari. We've got a 0.3 of a second gap now, which is shrinking as we speak. Potential here for Syndra to get this move done, not into Parabolica, but down the main straight. He just needs to nail this exit of Parabolica.
One good exit is all it takes. It looks like he might have it. It looks like he might have it. He's got to stay in the slipstream. He's got to get into the slipstream of Tobias. He has 0.2 of a second as we head over the line. That is going to be enough. This should be Syndra's move. This should be the lead. Can he get it? He's still behind. He's not really making any sort of move.
And he goes to the outside. Is he coming?
He's going.
No.
Oh, no, he's not. No,
he backs
the camera
out of it at the
deceived
end.
us a little bit. And I don't understand why Syndra didn't really go for that. It might have been the missed opportunity here.
Let's see from his point of view.
Going through.
He lifts. He didn't commit fully to the move, and then he's thinking about it, and then he decides, actually no, I'm not going to do it this time around. Now let's see what he's doing in real time. He's still stuck behind Tobias at the second chicane.
The interesting scenario out of this is that they're fighting for slipstream, and that's the idea going through Syndra's head right now. But the issue for Syndra is there's still 13 laps to go. I don't really think the slipstream is the thing to be fighting for right now.
No,
I guess it would be helping for the tire when it comes to the tire wear and everything. He'll have the advantage later on, and that's what he's aiming for. He's aiming for a late overtake to give Tobias no room to fight back. But
I don't know why he didn't go for it. I really am stumped as why he didn't go for that into turn 1.
He should have got that.
Didn't fancy going around the outside potentially.
I genuinely just think he wants to slipstream. It was evident by the fact that he lifted off, because he wouldn't have had to go round the outside into turn 1 because he would have had it done. I think he just wants to slipstream, in which he will then try and fight it late with Tobias, and he gets it maybe like 55 or onwards.
That's the thing. If he feels so confident, if he feels so confident about getting the position, he could just chill for now. But I wouldn't be that confident. Tobias has better one-lap pace, I think, tonight anyway.
If he's that confident, right, that he can get this move done, why not get it done now and break the toe?
Yes.
Why not get out of it now and deal with that as a thing?
He's lifting.
No, he's lifted again. Yeah, he is. He's doing exactly what I just said. He's waiting. He's biding his time. He's got to pray this doesn't backfire, because I feel like there might be a couple of words coming his way if this does backfire. He's had a couple of glorious opportunities on Tobias right now, and he is just working the slipstream.
That's a good point made in the chat. Either of these getting a penalty and it's over in terms of the battle.
Yeah, that's my point. So why don't he just get it now, get it out, get the position now, secure the fact that he's got the position, and then if he makes a mistake, he has time to fight that back. But for now, he's seemingly sitting behind him. One mistake is game, set, and match.
Yeah, Tobias is putting in one hell of a shift here. He's not making mistakes when he's got Sidra right behind him. He was making more mistakes when he was on his own, to be honest, and he's driven absolutely flawlessly since Sidra's caught up to the back of him.
Because he came away with 2 or 3 penalties there that kind of just shot himself in the foot, gave away the 7-second gap in the first place. Zico and Ahmed are fighting now, actually.
Yeah.
It looks like they might go back and forth. Oh, Zico's round! Zico's round! He's kept it! He doesn't have damage somehow!
He's actually managed to avoid damage.
That is
Zico.
extremely lucky. That should have been damage. That should have been night-night for Zico, that. He has got away with something. He's got away with one there. Just lost it. Just
big
lost
moment.
it. Just about got the car with enough control to stay out of the wall, or out of the wall enough that he doesn't really have to worry about behind him. That could have been disastrous.
Absolutely. Big overtake for the championship, though. More points lost for Project Platypus.
We're back to where we were.
We're back to where we were.
So,
good save, absolutely agree with that. Good save.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, it should... There is no reason why that should not have been a 15, 20, 25-second loss in the second, out of the first of the last mode there. That should have been massive. That should have brought Alessandro into it, but Zico car control was immaculate. And again, yeah, also a good point with the dirty air, and we're seeing it now because now Sintra's 7/10 off the back, and he's had 2 glorious opportunities. He's had as good of an opportunity to make this work as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And he's just playing the slipstream, and I have a funny feeling this is gonna backfire.
Well, I just had a quick look at the tyres, and even though they're only slightly worn, Sindra still has better tyre wear. Remember, they came out at the exact same time as well, on the exact same fuel, in the exact same car, on the exact same tyres. So...
on the exact same part of the track as well, given the fact that they were literally in each other on the way out. Oh, Tobias looked a little bit wide. It looked a lot wider than it was on the camera. With the camera angle, that looked like he was almost veering straight for a wall.
What was going on there? That
was... Yeah, he might just be too nice. I think he's playing the long game, and you don't get away with that. These drivers are too good.
Dodgy entry, and then he was just out of position and lifting loads through Ascari.
Yeah, he just about survived there. We've definitely not got enough fuel left. It's got about 10 laps, maybe some change of fuel as well.
What is going on with that?
Yeah, it's just been popping up all day, and again, we're just in this stalemate. We're waiting for something to happen, and it's going to happen maybe like 55 onwards, where you realistically see Sindra go for it. But if the opportunity doesn't arise at that point, albeit he will be on better tyres and will be roughly around the point that we've been seeing in the last couple of stints.
Yeah.
If the opportunity doesn't arise, he's going to be kicking himself because he had the opportunity in lap 45 and lap 46. So it's not like he hasn't had the chance to win. So he's got to make it work now. He has got to make this work now, otherwise that looks really bad on his end.
Once again, pretty strong outside the second chicane, and then really took a lot of curb there.
I couldn't tell if it was a lot of curb or just about avoiding the wall. That looked very narrow.
He got a strong second, Lesbo. Let's find out where BX is. BX watch down. Well, he's dropped the gap from Latari from 10 seconds down to 2 now, and he's ahead of Big Beaver and Prime Call. So this is not the end of the world. He's only 1 position better off than last time when I tried to do the standings. So that, yeah, gives Project Platypus an extra couple of points, maybe 3 else. I don't know how many it would be, but yeah, he's not too far away from the top 10. He's got 10 seconds to go before he catches Hollywood, but he's also got to overtake Lataria that as well.
I'm about to say he's got to catch up a second a lap, and we know that BX tailed off very quickly as we go for another fight here. But again, we're just going to be watching these two try and fight for the slipstream because Sidra is a bit averse to making a move right now. And you can see it again, 0.3 of a second. It's under 0.3 of a second now, and this is just a case of when he lifts off.
Let's see.
I mean,
Tobias isn't even defending anymore.
Here we go.
No.
Yeah, and Tobias knows it as well. Tobias has clicked on, and Tobias knows
if I was
that
Tobias, I'd be so paranoid that like the betrayal is happening, right? I would still be defending, but Tobias is very confident in his breaking point clearly to keep that position.
Yeah, and right now, common sense says Syndra's got enough and knows what he's doing, right? Common sense indicates that, but I just can't help but shake the feeling that this is going to go horribly.
Meanwhile, despite these two being separated by less than half a second the entire time, they are gapping Javi massively. 13.5 is the gap now.
Yeah, it's not been a good time at the office for Javi in terms of trying to fight for a win. He'll take the bottom step of the podium or he'll get fourth. Those two are pretty much set in right now. I think Zico is not necessarily too close to Ahmed either. So it looks like the top...
Well, I think they're quite close.
Never mind. They're
4/10 of a second.
Yeah, no. We're looking 1/3 forward. Said that's all I was looking at, not these two.
What's Alessandro doing? We haven't really spent any time on him. He's just pretty much on his own.
By Slim.
Yeah, he is actually getting caught by Slim. So his last 4 laps have been 47.3s and 4s. 47.1s the last couple of laps, and 46s for Slim. So Slim definitely has the pace on Alessandro, and that one position, if you can get it before the end of the race, it's going to be quite massive for Arix.
It'll cancel out. I was about to say it'll cancel everything the X is about to do at the back. Pretty much. Might also cancel out this.
And this.
Oh, there we go. He's gone for it. Finally, changed it up a little bit. Into turn 1, they're side by side. Tobias has to go over the curb. Who's gonna get the better exit? It looks like Tobias is gonna hold on again.
He is gonna hold on.
We saw that Sidra finally. We would just assume that Sidra is just gonna wait. Sidra finally pulling the trigger, but losing out again.
Now. He's pulled the trigger. Absolutely.
I can't blame Sidra here, and the reason why I can't blame Sidra here, right, is that we were just talking about it. Tobias had realized, Tobias had clicked onto what Sidra was doing, and that meant Tobias could just go, oh, this is fine. I only have two laps to defend realistically, so Sydra's seen that and switched it up the very next lap and has gone, okay, you still need to think about me, regardless of what you actually think right now.
They're coming on some lapped cars now. This is going to start getting a little bit juicy.
Going into Ascari, didn't look too great there. We continue through. Tobias is going to get a definite better exit. They're in the same car, remember, so it's just a case of, I think that might be like a car, I think it is in front of them. They're going to get into
I think it's the Aero boys,
here.
potentially. Let's have a quick look. Oh, well, there's Fluffy Butt.
It's Fluffy Butt and...
Prime Call.
Potentially Prime Call, yeah.
Well, Prime Call wasn't quick in getting out of the way last time. So let's see.
It was not. Because they made it so that Syndra had to go side by side. Tobias just about got by as well. Here we go, Syndra again, close enough, 4/10 of a second.
He's not going to get close enough this time.
Isn't going to go this one. Isn't going to get it this time. He's going to have to focus on the
exit. Whoa!
He's going for it! He's going for it!
That was...
And he clips him! And he lets him back through.
That was not going for it. He missed his braking point. Let's watch that again.
Oh, it did. He looked. No,
let's see if he actually lifts off his brakes in the braking zone.
I was about to say, it looked like he pulled out there. It looked like that was intentional.
Let's see if he lifts. It's intentional. No, he just doesn't. He's not quick in applying the brakes. He just tapped the brakes slightly, and then went fully on them. And yeah, bit of a clumsy move.
Yeah. Bit of a mistake actually. Well, I was giving him maybe a little bit too much credit. But yeah, as we said it earlier, one It's definitely slightly ambitious, but if he makes it, he makes it. if he made that and that was clean, we would be like, yeah, well, that might be one of the greatest overtakes we've ever seen.
Yeah, late braking into turn 1 in Monza is the place where dive bombs don't become dive bombs, because you can do it under braking, but maybe not when you're both in the same car and you're lapping as quickly and consistently as these two. So
all of a sudden, Syndra's lost the gap. Syndra lost the gap. It's outside of a second. It's about a second now, and he needs to get back within because he took his shot. He took his shot and he missed.
Right, we're coming to the end of lap 51. That means we've got 7 laps to go. Still only 1 second. Tobias has more breathing room now than he has done for at least the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it has been a case that this entire time that Tobias has just been a case of is he or isn't he going to move. In that case, Zico's got past Ahmed of the whole thing.
Let's see if we can find that somewhere in the replay.
If it was...
Oh no, Zico was well ahead. Never mind.
It's been a while, yeah. Well then, he's got Aura ahead.
Great news for
PP.
Yeah, Aura's just took a penalty. The gap is 3.8, so Zico actually might have an outside shot of the top 4. He can see Aura in his sights
with
there.
With another mistake, yeah, with another mistake.
With a penalty. I mean, a 1.5 second penalty is about 3 seconds. So, come on, Aura, let's see if he could make turn 1 without cutting. Looks pretty nice and tidy. Stays in first gear in that Ford GT into turn 1. Interesting.
Yeah, and what the gap we're looking at the front now then. You see
still 1 second, Prime Call's out the way.
They've gone past Prime Call, so well, the lap traffic is essentially out of the way for now. He's got to find a way now. He's got to make a move at some point. He's running out of time. That clock is ticking down.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't win this, you can just go point straight back to that lap 45, lap 46, where he chose not to go for it. Because you can see the strategy switched up. He was being a little bit more aggressive. He then missed the breaking point. Which caused him to throw away the biggest shot he had. Or they actually took. And then, if that is the case, then Tobias has got a little bit of a gap now. We're going to head toward the grandstand finish. The real question is, when the tyres drop off in a lap or two, is it going to be enough?
I would say Tobias has between 5 and 10% more tyre wear on his front left. Having a quick look between them. So it still is very slight advantage to Syndra in that. But yeah, did he already miss his opportunity to overtake when he had that overspeed for multiple laps and he just decided to tuck in behind into turn 1?
Yeah.
Time will tell.
What we were saying earlier, obviously time will tell, yeah. But when you're in an opportunity, when you're in a league like this, you don't mince your actions. And that's what he's done. You get an opportunity like that, you have to take it. You can't swing and miss, otherwise it will come back to bite you. These guys are very quick drivers and will punish mistakes. Also, BX up into 11th. He's got an extra
big
couple
overtake.
Of positions.
He's just left Latari for dust now as well. Latari had a bad lap there at 51, so probably had a penalty, and that's how BX got the position. 7.7 behind Hollywood. He'll have to be over a second a lap quicker if he actually wants to finish in the top 10.
Sorry about that. Wasn't quick enough on the mute. But yeah, 9 tenths of a second. The gap's coming back down, and Hollywood's about to get in the way.
Fluffy butt.
Not fluffy butt. Yeah, it's fluffy butt. Sorry, about to get in the way here. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? It's going to be one of those where you're either going to look back at this and think fondly that you managed to recover it, or you're going to look fondly at this and you think his giant opportunity missed.
Yeah.
The real question is which one's which. I don't really know right now.
He's not got back to the half-second gap that he was in since Tobias. When you're around a second away as well, you do get a very small amount of slipstream, but it's not strong enough to make a big difference. He's now around about 8 tenths back, so he had a better exit from Parabolica, but he needs a bit more. Maybe Fluffy Butt might come into the equation a bit when Tobias starts to put a lap on him.
I was about to say, yeah.
Oh no, he's got out of the way.
He's got out of the way. He's seen it and he's not even going to get involved. Not even going to get involved. Okay, so the blue flags are no longer an issue. It is 9 tenths of a second, the actual gap. And that'll be yeah, there won't be any more blue flags for the rest of this race. So this is just a drag race to the finish now. The real question: who's got more left in the tank? Didn't look particularly great there for.
I was going to say, but every time I say that, they
chicane.
still end up going incredibly quickly. So it must just be the
Tobias
optimal
again.
line that us poor tier 2 drivers just can't understand.
Tobias didn't have the greatest of exits there. The time's going to come back. The time is going to come back, and it's coming back about 10th of a second now. The slipstream is going to kick in. It might drop it below 9/10 of a second once again. Tobias out of the second Lesmo could have been clear, but isn't. And might now be suffering just a little bit. Yellow flags. There is a yellow flag, or it looked like a yellow flag there. Yeah, there is yellow flags.
Is it fluffy?
For some reason. Not entirely sure. The guys on the side there were waving yellow flags. It's green now.
Everyone's still in the same position, so it must have been a very brief moment. Is he warming his tyres up?
I'm not entirely sure. Honestly, I don't even know anymore. I don't actually know anymore, man.
Tyre heat is an important thing in GT. Maybe he's got that app which tells you how hot your tyres are. It is. It's going to be slow.
It's now under 8. It's going to go towards about 7, maybe 6/10 of a second. And this is where we were talking about earlier. The lap 55 was about the mark where we think that things might start kicking a gear. Syndra's got to get things right now. This is go big or go home now, essentially, the next 4 laps.
Well, Tobias just put a wheel in the gravel as he was accelerating. That's lost him a 10th. And now we're starting to get into proper slipstream range for Syndra.
All of a sudden, that gap where we would talk about golden opportunities this time 10 laps ago, it's purple for Sector 1 for Syndra. It might be coming to fruition now. Is it going to happen? It's not going to happen on this lap, but it might happen into turn 1 in the next lap if he can continue to get closer as they head through the first of the Lesmos. That did not look great there on the exit from Tobias. A little bit of grass as well for good measure.
That was a good one,
better
though.
Exit. That was a better exit out of Lesmo 2, and that gap is going to increase. That's usually how that works out of the second Lesmo. For now, anyway, slipstream is going to come back. Let's have a look from Mr. SBS's point of view. From Syndra, who's just trying to keep himself in touch.
That was poor. That was
good.
poor Ascari. He's just dropped about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, he's come back within the second. The question is this going to be too little, too late now for Syndra?
3 laps.
He's got to get these 3 laps all but perfect at this point. And then the conversation, if he doesn't, is going to go back to that 10 laps, that stint 10 laps ago. But yeah, for now, he needs to be within 0.4 of a second realistically to make it stick, and he's not close. Head into turn 1. We've seen that Tobias has also not had a penalty, which he'd had on the 5 prior 2 stints, which had brought Syndra into this in the first place. Syndra looked like he got a far better exit there, though. That turned out not the case. It looked like it was coming out a lot more speed, but it's another 10th in Tobias's direction.
Yeah, I mean, not counting the chickens before the hash, but Tobias is dealing with this incredibly well.
He might have left this too little too late.
A little bit on the gravel again. Is that just his racing line?
I think it is. I think it
Bloody
looks
hell.
like it's just the racing line. It's an
I
interesting
could
one.
never-
Ahmed and Zico in 5th and 6th are going back and forth.
Side by side.
All the way through
out of the
turn
exit
1.
turn 1. Looks like
Looked like they
Zico
were
is going to keep the position. He's got the inside line.
Inside line here, but they'll be outside when they come round into the
Oh,
next
they're
chicane.
still making
Ahmed's
contact.
still there. Ahmed just reminding him that he does still exist, trying to do a little bit of late braking.
And Zico's boxed it off. Let's try and see if the replay will go far enough back. It's not doing it. Why is it not going? Why is the replay not working? It doesn't want to show me.
No, we're not going to figure out whether or not they were close enough.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's 0.3 of a second here. Obviously, Zico getting out of 5th would be good news for literally everyone else.
So round Parabolica again, the gap is still a full second. Time is running out. Better exit though for Syndra there. It's going to potentially gain another 10th before turn 1. The only hope I think he's got at the moment is mistake from Tobias or the lapped car that they're approaching, which I think is Big
too far
Beaver.
away. I think it's too far away though. They've only got 2 laps left of the track, remember.
This is true. Oh, never mind.
Oh, that might be it. That looked like a little bit of a slide.
There was definitely a twitch on the exit for Tobias.
He's brought him back within a second. Tobias has got worse tyres, and this is the point where Syndra usually excelled compared to Tobias.
Yeah.
Tobias has got to hold on. It is very much running out of time. He's going to be ruining the missed opportunities at this point of this race. It's 1.1 again. The gap is extending, not decreasing.
And something's happening between Ahmed and Zico. The side-by-side again through turns 1 and 2. Ahmed trying to get the move back on Zico. Zico getting a better exit out of turn 1 on the outside line and is fully ahead of Ahmed in this really tight battle for P5.
Yeah, tight battle for P5, tight battle for P1. Both Falcon versus Project Platypus for good measure. Could see a huge point swing here if there's a double overtake to be made.
And
Ahmed
Zico wins again. Oh, he's going to hold it. He does hold it.
Might be it. That might be it. As for the front, this is essentially last chance.
Penultimate lap. We're on now. We're about to start the final lap of the race. Lap 58, and we're still separated by 9/10 of a second.
It might come down to a mistake.
Yeah, Tobias has raced phenomenally, to be honest. He's not put a foot wrong since Syndra got close to him. And Syndra hasn't either. I think Syndra's only mistake was not going for it earlier on.
Yeah, the lack of a killer instinct. It was super simple as that. Played with his food too much, and it's exactly as we expected it to be. He got within 7 tenths. If Tobias makes a mistake, it's still not enough of a gap realistically for Tobias. So it twitches his car down the exit in the first corner. And that's going to get him a little bit closer again.
0.6 of a second now. We haven't seen that for a little while.
It's going to come down to the mistakes. That's all it's going to be. Who's going to hold? It's going to hold their nerves for just a longer period of time. 6 tenths instead of 7 now. It's come just a little bit closer. But again, Tobias gets a good exit out the second chicane, heading towards the first Westmouth, but they've been about 5 tenths of a second further away as they hit this point in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, and Tobias is going to benefit a little bit. Yeah, he's got a benefit of a bit of slipstream ahead of him with Big Beaver slowly getting caught up. But
it doesn't matter. Look at that. He is a lot closer now. He is a lot closer now. The slipstream is not powerful enough for Tobias. A good Ascari could seal it. It could go either way. Who's going to get the better out of Ascari? It's going to come down to this. Tobias didn't get the greatest of first corners. It didn't look like the greatest of second corners here for Syndra.
Good better exit though.
It's 5 tenths of a second. It looks like it's game. It looks like they're coming down to Parabolica. It's too little, too late. As Tobias, with 4 tenths of a second to go, 1 corner separates him and the line. 3 tenths of a second, back up to 4, and the Parabolica entrance has just killed off Syndra's chance. As Tobias is coming to the line and gets the job done for Project Platypus and wins the race. Syndra gets second, and Javi on the bottom step of the podium.
Javi just coming around Parabolica now, a huge 15 seconds behind the top 2. But he's going to take another podium for Arix.
Wow. And at the end of the day, it's all going to be ruining the missed opportunities. That's all it's going to be here for Falcon for the next week. Tobias is going to be electric after that one.
And then look at this. Great result for Project Platypus at the end. Zico recovering to P5. Ahmed, a very solid P6, but I think he might be a bit disappointed with that penalty that he got, which dropped him behind Zico and he couldn't get him back. Alessandro, is it the Porsche? Not that strong round here. He's going to come home in P7, 55 seconds off the lead. And unfortunately for Slim, wasn't able to make any more progress after he had a good couple of first stints and got up into 8th, finishing 11 seconds behind Alessandro, and that is going to be a big blow to Arix, finishing down in 8th place. We have Owen, the highest of the Aero GT and the Cavar boys, beating Hollywood. Then we have BX Royal, 11th, not able to get the top 10.
Really bad day at the office for him.
Yeah. Latari, finishing 12th. I think that's fairly decent for Latari. Unfortunately, he's had some errors on this stint. You can see a 156 there on lap 54, 51 on lap 50, which dropped him behind BX Royal. So he's 21 seconds off BX in the end, but fairly solid. And then Big Beaver, the last of our finishes, because Fluffy Butt and Prime Call have both already been lapped. Big Beaver just ahead of the leading pack when they came across the checkered flag.
Yeah. What a race.
So let's do some live standings. Well, they're not live anymore.
From Alessandro's point, what we saw from Alessandro and Millis, you are screwed next week. Or at the weekend. Whichever one. Next weekend.
Next season? What?
No, they're doing a different race next weekend.
Oh.
It's Monza and the Porsche. If Alessandro is anything to go by, you're screwed. Oh, that was a massive
Let's have a look at these
results.
results.
It's a missed opportunity.
So Aura P4, Javi P3, P5 for Zico, 6 and 7 for Falcon, 8 unfortunately for Arix. The top 3 teams locking out the top 8, and then there's Owen, 9th place.
Yeah, that's it. BX is the odd one out.
13th and 15th. For Kavar, it was 10th, 12th and 14th, so a bit better for Kavar. And then 11th for BX. So that means 5th place are Kavar on 179 points. Is that right? Yes, it is. 4th place, Aero GT on 216, so 79. That is 35 points ahead for Aero GT. That's pretty good.
Gap has come down.
It's a good, it's come down, but Kavar need a much better performance next week to overtake Aero GT. Then we've got Falcon, 426 points, massive. Arix, 477 points, and Project Platypus, 530. So that means Project Platypus are 53 points ahead.
They've extended.
They've extended by 2.
Oh, that's a bad outcome for both teams chasing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what seemed to be a really good day. It would have been a little bit. It would have actually been a little bit closer had Syndra actually pulled the trigger when he should have.
Yeah, it was quite even between all 3 teams in terms of the points that they scored tonight. The top guys. No one. I mean, the one team that didn't have a driver in the top 8 also won the race and got all the bonus points, so it cancelled each other out. And then, strong night for Falcon. Stronger than Arix. They are 51 points behind Arix, are Falcon. So they've got just as much of a chance of overtaking Arix as Arix have of overtaking Project Platypus.
Yeah, it's gonna take something huge.
So
take something huge.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it.
We're not. Yeah, that's it. We're not getting the title fight we may have hoped for.
You never know. 50 odd points isn't much if Project Platypus have a mare and don't finish in the top half of the lobby. I think it's possible that they get caught by Arix if Arix have a perfect week.
Yeah,
it's big
they're
if.
Gonna have to
it's
have
big
something, though. Yeah, but I'd say they're gonna have to have something. But yeah, with that being said, do let us know how that goes. Mail us next week. It's always nice to know how people associated with the league are doing. But yeah, we've got one more. We got one more next week. We crown another champion. Is it going to be the same champion, or is it going to be a new one?
Yeah, join us then. Thanks for watching, guys.
In a bit.